some water now.
Yeah. Whoa. Off the dome like a yo-yo, rolling my mind. I can't seem to control the flow half of the time, but I step on beats, crush them easily. This shit ain't feast to me, but I feel like I can easily see the future when I close my mind and hack it. Niggas is known to like it, but I control the package. That inside my mental, cruising the path of rhythm, finding my new cemento. Hey, I can't find myself. Whoa, when I'm stuck for that show.
Whoa, I had to step in. Now I gotta lead the show, I ain't to step in. Yeah, but I'm stepping on next like I'm trying to break backs. But I watch out for the cracks on my mama. I'ma do everything that they said I couldn't do, cause I'm a true one and I'm really down for what I say. And if I gotta slide on you, I'ma send my little niggas your way. I don't know, don't you say it? Hey,
I'm out today, in the sun, chillin' with my fucking shades, looking for the next sign to make a fucking way, through the mirage, you know it's challenges ahead, but I can't let them stop your boy, you know I'm dead, in my body, I find a new millennium to revive myself and find a new feeling, cause it's a new way back. Today I feel alive, so I slay. I come through and feel the rage, like hate in my mind, raised for half the time. Get it right, finna replenish, anybody could die if they test S, cause it's the rise of the best, testing for the skies.
Testing for the skies. I got my babushka on, ADN on the tags, and I'm blowing strong. I'm in the 400-meter race, and I just hit my stride. And watch how I take the lead like I'm that guy. I meant to say, I am him, he is I, and I ain't talking about no pronouns. I'm going down, watch the bitch go down. I gotta blow like 100 on her right now. If she gon' do what I do,
so down, whoa, the show about to start, this shit go down.
Yes sir.
Welcome to Vine Tree Radio, it's your boy West here chilling with
Mauriwowi, how's it going?
You know we got a guest, introduce yourself.
Yo, what's good? I'm Bredman. I appreciate y'all for having me, yo. I really appreciate y'all for having me.
Thank you for coming, man. You know, it's a great day to be out here today. We're right here at the perfect time. Like the sunset to our right, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we've had a lot of cold podcasts lately. Had the blankets out and whatnot, so it's good to be here in a good mood, you know what I'm saying?
Not too chilly.
Chilling and all. But this is the part of the podcast where, you know, we usually get into how we met and a little bit of your background as well. So it's cool to talk about, at least for us, a big part of, you know, our brand and growing is getting to do shows and networking to meeting people. And for me, shit, I've probably only done a handful of like 4 shows or 3 shows, and that might have been my 4th one where I actually got to see you perform.
Man,
your music and shit. I would have to say, you did a great performance, bro.
That was something I really appreciate that. With, I do a lot of practicing and shit, so you know what I'm saying. I'm happy that it pays off when I get up there from the outside. You know what I'm saying.
Really, bro. And one thing I did want to ask about your performance, which was really cool to me, is like, how is it performing? Like, how do you say, like, slower songs, like with the R&B feel, like that second song you performed? Because me myself, I haven't performed anything I've kind of experimented with like that, but I really love styles of music like that, and it's interesting to see how like you smoke that shit, like in comparison to, like, you know what I'm saying, the other song, which is a different style, but like you kind of kill both in their own right, and they're different styles of songs, you know.
I would say it's kind of interesting because I've been performing maybe for just maybe like 3 to 4 years or so, but just doing a lot of really small joints, you know what I'm saying? I performed at Santa Cruz a couple of times. I have some homies up there that organize some little,
it's crazy. I went to Monterey, like joints. 45 minutes from there.
Man, yeah, see, I used to drive. I think I got a speeding ticket in Monterey going like 108, being I was trying to pick my mama from the airport, and I was just doing the dash. But performing that slow song was a little different than anything I've ever really done. I had actually done a performance at the pub the week before, the Sunday before, and I was able to do a 20-minute set. So I performed a different song that's similar to that as my practice song going into that, because I knew that after that performance I wanted to do that Factual, because that's the name of it right now. It's just the beat name, but I knew I wanted to do that joint because it feels like like something that I needed to get off my chest in a way. So I needed to see if I could get the proper reception to the song. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that it was good, and with the performance being good, that means the music was good. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool to be able to have that experience and have people actually going out of their way to tell me, you know what I'm saying? Not me walking around everywhere and saying my name to everybody, people coming up like, yo, like, that was fucking tight. People that I didn't know and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a part of how we met. You feel me? Basically how we met.
Yeah,
so
literally,
just showing
like,
love
after,
to each other.
after you went on, just saying like, yo, that shit was dope. And even like later on after we went on, like, you were talking about the podcast and shit, and I asked you about it, you know,
Fact.
and then you hit me up later about it.
Fact.
But one thing I thought was interesting about what you mentioned was in performing that, like you said that, like, you almost described like performing it as a test, almost to how dope it is as well.
Right.
In that regard, and I wanted to know if that's something that you kind of like, has that something you always like attributed to your process, if you will, like when you make certain shit, like, you know what I'm saying, like the reception that you get of it live, because you did say you've been performing for like a minute. Is that something you kind of usually incorporate in like your songs?
I would say not more so recently than ever. Before, I was just trying to kind of get the reps up, if that makes sense. So when I was making music back then, I was performing my hits that I was just dropping on SoundCloud. You know what I'm saying? So I have those joints that are just there because I'm trying to get my reps up. I've been
So
doing
more
music.
so in the sense of like practicing your performance,
Right.
and now it's more so you're like also thinking about like, this is songs I'm gonna drop and how
Right.
I'm gonna, like, you know, how they receive performance wise. I get you.
Right.
So on the receive performance wise, do you go and like ever alter your songs, like based on?
I wouldn't say I do.
No.
I'll go in and usually, or I should, you know how I should answer that. I would say that I don't make the changes based on the song reception. I only will make a change on a song if I think that it needs to be different. Because regardless, as an artist, I like to do my best to be me as much as I possibly can. So I always want to make sure that I maintain the final say-so and the final vision over the song, in a sense, you know what I'm saying? At least as much as I can. So I wouldn't say that the performance really changes that, to be honest.
I got you. I feel like sometimes, at least in my case, I feel like sometimes those instances where I feel like I am a little unsure about the response until like I see it, is maybe those instances when I do get really personal on those tip of where like almost borders, so maybe even R&B shit or love shit or topics that are harder to talk about.
Right.
Those are the ones that where sometimes I almost feel like I, as an artist, like detached from until I see that feeling, and then I'm like, oh, all right, like I kind of remember that being dope, but like I didn't really know if it was or not because I had other feelings attached to it.
Right, facts. I
You know
feel
what I
that.
mean?
Yeah, I usually will, once I get off into something that's more emotional, and I can tell, regardless of if it's singing or rapping, I will try my best to really zone in on it. And then like that keeps me away from like a bit of hesitance, because once I feel that, I'm like, okay, this is something that I can chase this emotion, and I can really get this entire thing out so I can hear what it sounds like. You know what I'm saying? And then once I get it out, I'm usually like, I try my hardest to dive into the emotion, because sometimes, like, you know, you're just trying to bite their heads off. You hear a beat and you just New York on it, start, you know what I'm saying? You start trying to bite their heads off. But once you feel that emotion, I'm like, okay, I have something that I want to get off my mind here. And then I go full into it. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, that's sort of interesting, because I think me and even Mauricio had a talk recently about like the difference between, like, I guess that inspiration and how I use that within performing.
Right.
And I feel like it's interesting how you described it, because that I was kind of learning about myself that it's a bit harder for me to pull from that, or I need to practice more at that way when I'm performing, because I do that a lot when writing and making songs in general. Like the way you describe, you feel me? Like I have to like pour into the feeling, if you will, to make sometimes the best shit. But then I like how you said, like, you describe, like, you kind of tap into that place when performing the record, like.
Also, yes, man.
And I feel like that's something I personally feel like I have to like learn more about, because sometimes when I get to that, it's harder for me to feel like at least like I'm performing my best. Like sometimes I feel like it's more like memorization and shit like that, and then
Right.
I can get to a point of like, all right, now I could do whatever I want with this. But like it, like using that other muscle that I used when making it, sometimes like that, I see what you're saying, like can make you, in like our conversations, sometimes those moments are like the greater moments in times, because sometimes think about like your favorite artists, if you see them perform, like some performances are fire, but then there's those certain performances that they had that are better than others,
Right.
that are like legendary and shit. And like, why are those like that? But because they kind of were tapping into the actual feeling that they felt when they made the record,
Right.
versus just trying to give you like the best show.
Pine Tree Radio.
Yes, sir.
There we go. In that moment, I think it's because when they're just trying to give like a good performance and they're focusing on like a routine or something like that, they're not focusing on the emotion. And so like I feel like we might have even mentioned on the pod here and there, like when art is like an expression of emotion, so like what you put in is what you get out. So like when they put it into a song itself, when they're making it, I feel like you can really hear it. You can really, it resonates with you. You're like, ooh, I can feel that you're really going through something at that moment when you hit that note, or when you went through that like lyric or whatever it may be. Like it just, it hits a certain way, right? And so like within that, there's like how they perform it. Like if they don't tap into that aspect, like it just comes across like not even as good as like the song itself. Like then it's just more about
that's
like the
that's
theatrics
an interesting
of it.
instance where I feel like I've seen good performances from certain artists, but I've seen also those ones from them where it was
where
like
you
I
could
could
see that
tell
they were
like
they were going
Saba's
through
for
it.
one instance where like I remember seeing Saba when like his album, like the album before Care For Me had just came out.
I can't cap, like I'm super familiar with Saba, but I know some of his stuff. I did actually just see him at Day and Night.
I was there too.
Man, look at the small world.
That was one of the
proximity.
best performances that I would say of the festival.
Yes,
to be
I
honest
can agree.
with you,
That shit was fire.
What I was gonna say is that at that time, like that next album, it was about like completely grieving. So at that time, it was like really like they were going through what they were going through. Like they were creating the next album. The film was already out, and in their performance, it was like they were at the observatory, Santa Ana. You know what I mean? They were kind of on the come up, like, but it was really like passionate as fuck in the performance to where I could see like exactly what you're describing. It was like the shit that they were grieving, going through, like he was really putting it into the performance.
Man.
You know what I mean? But because it was fucked, like someone that was on the song with them on the album, they had like lost. You know what I mean?
Somebody in his
camp had passed, you know what I mean? That was like on the project they're working on, and he made a song about it on like his next album, Prom Flash, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, and it's just like, in that though, I remember that was just like one of those moments of just like what you're talking about, where it was like I saw the shit he was talking about almost come out different than just him killing it rapping wise, you know?
Right.
In that, it makes me think of like, I feel like he peeled back a layer of like vulnerability, and that gave like people another layer to able to relate to, like on top of the performance. And I feel like that's what gives that sense of like that better performance, or that deeper connection with it. It's just like when it feels more human, or just like that natural, like
like I could tell that he
what
felt a little
out
unsure
at
about being at the height that they were at right now, being that this had just happened.
Man,
you know what I mean? Like that was like
this
coming off of them, like you know?
I'm not gonna lie, that performance at Day in Vegas felt like success though,
because that's what his album was about.
Man,
and that's what it was about. It was kind of
was?
like a lot about being like a little uncertain of the success, but being like shit is nice now.
Yeah, because he
like,
was
like,
up there.
nice
he
now.
was up there in a sweatsuit, like, and I've always noticed that when artists start to like hit their stride, they start to wear nicer clothes at some point. You know what I'm saying? But he's up there at a big festival. It was a lot of people over there fucking with him, and he was in sweats, rocking that shit. But you could, I just to relate to that sense of like hesitation on the success, maybe like
I think his album is called A Few Good Things.
Okay, yeah, man. Wow,
tend
that's
to
tight.
get that like
That's tight.
some good shit's happening, but like, you know what I mean, you still looking at it like there's in the full scope.
Right, exactly, man.
kind of speaking on that, like the titling of that album, you mentioned that you have like a song, but it's just like a working title on it right now, right?
Yeah.
I kind of want to ask you about your process when it comes to picking song titles. Or album titles or project titles?
So I drive in my car a lot. So when I'm in my car, I'm always thinking about music, you feel me, in the midst, and I'm thinking about creating and all type of shit. Hold on, let me silence this. Somebody's hitting me. Boop, boop. You know what I'm saying? I'm always thinking about songs or some type of tape, and I'm usually listening to my music while I'm driving around too. So if I'm trying to find a name for a song, I low-key just throw it on and let it run until I hear the thing that catches my eye the most. Or sometimes if the chorus of the song is fire enough and it's not gonna feel kind of corny, if I name the song that, I'll go with that too. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a plethora of me bouncing ideas off the windshield in my car and seeing what comes back while I'm listening to the songs. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Interesting. So would you say like sometimes you spend a lot of time on the title of the song, or sometimes it's something that just comes quick? Like it varies between those two?
I think it's a variation between both of those points. Because for that song that I did, it's called Factual, but that's just the beat name. And my homie Max made the beat. So he just happened to name the beat that, and then I hopped on it. So I've just
Some
been
songs
calling
with
it
the beat
Factual.
names be hard though. Like I've had that too, where the beat name became the actual song.
Yeah.
And I just rocked with it after, it just was there for so long, and you saw it, and you're like, I don't like the name I'm gonna give to it is not doper than this name.
Right,
like,
and it's what you thought off the rip. So you know what I'm saying? It's what creatively came out as soon as you finished. Like, what could I call this? Just real fast on my toes.
Sometimes though, the homie right here will just press the buttons.
Yeah, I have
Like, but he has a lot of really dope names now, so it's like that's why like now like to even name him, it'll just be like some just code shit. Like
I'll literally just smash my keyboard.
Oh, what? And then you drop the song under that?
no, like that's the beat.
Oh, I feel it. Oh God, because eventually you're gonna run out of something. You feel me? You're gonna start running down this.
Like a lot of the rant, like those what you're describing, what you just first thought of, like this was done mad of those.
Right.
Just to the point where now he's just like, fuck what I first think of. Like,
Right. I feel that. And that's special right there, though. You know what I'm saying? That's different. You'll never be able to guess what that is with that little stump method.
I know,
like
yeah.
that.
And then sometimes though, like you'll be writing to it, and that pattern will get so ingrained in your brain of you'll come with a word of that. Like it'll be like Askada. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll be like, why is Askada? Like why am I calling the song Askada now? Like it'll be like, cause that was just what the letters were.
That's tight. That's tight.
But that'd be funny like that though. Okay. But hey, one thing shit we haven't really talked about since we met at the concert is shit, how'd you get into music in the first place, man? Like when did you first start rapping and get into this thing? Was you always making music when you were young? Cause that's one thing I feel like is a cool thing I learned about most people that come on. Is like their entry point to even wanting to become like an artist. Like a lot of people, there's some people we've had that like were in band and shit. We've had people that were just like didn't start their shit till like about a year ago. We've had people that like, you know what I mean? All around that spectrum.
I have been involved in music my whole life, basically. So like my dad's side of the family, everybody can sing, and then a few of them can play the keyboards. He's kind of like one of those grew up in the church type of families. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of singers. Like my uncles and my aunties were singing.
You ever listen to Bilal?
Bilal?
Bilal. I feel like I say his name wrong.
Bilal? I don't know.
That's kind of how his name is pronounced. But he's like an artist like that.
Okay.
I don't know.
But I'm not sure if they sang in the church when they were young. But I know that my dad's youngest sibling sang in the church because I used to go watch him. But basically, he was singing all the time. He actually used to have a studio in the house. So growing up, I was able to be around the whole studio setup. I started like cooking up songs and getting like actual recordings down. I had to be in like first grade. You feel me? So I got to hear my voice on a song that had a slight mix for what they could do at the time, bounced out. You know what I'm saying? So I've been able to
hearing it though, because hearing your voice is a lot of people's conception of like their idea of it. You know what I mean? Like when they can hear their voice over the recording, they really like start to think about it a little differently. Right.
So like I was able to get exposed to that way of thinking at a really young age. So I've been playing instruments my whole life too. I played the piano, kind of played the saxophone at one time, played the guitar for a little bit. I was in I tried to join the drum line, but I had football practice, so it was too much. But I played the drums. I actually went to a summer camp and played the drums at Citrus. Oddly enough, it was no. It might have been APU, but that's right there. We were talking about that earlier.
I thought you were talking about.
And I think I played Tonight on the drums. So I'm back there. So you know what I'm saying? So all of that, I've been involved with playing instruments through all that time. I played the keyboard through high school. I took some piano classes when I was at Glendale Community College. So when you were in high school, you were already
making music. And at this time, was it like when you were playing instruments, were you recording like music already too, like your own songs?
I would try to produce some stuff, but it was too much for my head at the time, so I couldn't do it. But my dad started off with me writing songs. That had to be in first grade, and then once I got to fourth grade, I was starting to write my own songs, and we were co-writing songs.
That's hard.
You know what I'm saying? And then by the time I got to middle school, I was writing all my own songs. Really after fourth grade, like fifth grade, the next year, after we started got to co-writing, I went right into writing my own stuff. So basically,
did you ever write poetry when you were young? Or probably maybe not, because you're mostly focused on songs already, like type shit. Like I had to go from poetry to songs.
I think I did.
Because I didn't know what was good. You know what I mean? Like at least for me, it was kind of just like how I learned how to start writing songs. But it was more so because like I didn't know at first. Like it was just like on rhyming and shit and like and everything. And then I was like, all right, well, if I could do this, then I felt like I could start to write a song. But then it was like for other people, it wasn't like on my voice yet. Like I hadn't heard my voice. It was just the idea of like writing, you know what I'm saying?
Like
the
how to
concept.
put the rhymes together and everything.
I mean, because in school they make you write a hella stories and shit like that, and then you start the idea of like a poem, and you're like, all right, well, if we fucking coming up with creative fucking concepts, like I feel like I could come up with one.
Thank
you. Know what I mean?
That's like you see it, now I can do it. What does the monkey see, monkey do it? That's it right there, showing face.
Literally, like I was like, all right, like if I'm doing this enough times in school for whatever the fuck they tell me, like I kind of just came with a couple on my own.
Some dope shit.
Thinking like, and I was working with other people that were like singing at the time, but then I started to decide to like rap, I guess. Like, but that was, I had to be like 16. Before then, I had like only a little bit of background, like piano type shit, but like somebody really just like you said, mostly sports bro took up like
you feel me,
hella time, and like when I was young to like where I was just like good on practicing piano like that. But shit, like right around like 16, 17, like I was in track mostly, and then I kind of just like I met Derek and that shit, and I was fucking like rapping with him there at the fucking track practice and shit, and then I just stopped going as much to the track shit and started mostly trying to go to the studio and shit.
Right, man. Yeah, I feel that. I was lucky enough that my uncle had his own small studio, so he would just have me come in there. It wasn't extremely often, but it was just like when I could, because like, you feel me, I was playing football and shit, so I was tired. I still had fucking homework, you know what I'm saying? I was waking up. I used to go to church in the morning before school every day, you know what I'm saying? So I was getting up at like 5:45, going to church, you know what I'm saying? Then going to school, so I'm like, I can't go to the studio all the time. But when we got in there, he would force me in there, you feel me? So he'd just make beats, and I'm in there writing my face off, because I'm like, all right, I know in 30 minutes after he cooks this beat up, because at this point he's been cooking up beats the whole time. I've been making music, so he's getting in there 30 minutes, here's a heat rock, you feel me? Another 30 minutes heat rock, another 30 minutes heat rock. So I have to be able to go at his pace, you know what I'm saying?
Like to be able to like capitalize on that moment and like use what was being given to you. It was like, damn, I gotta be able to finish this, or else it's just gonna be
or I'm gonna be Al.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Or else you just can't even use it, because you're just like, fuck, I didn't even have, you know, like what you're saying. Like it's almost like to be able to get the most of that moment, you was like, I gotta fucking be able to smoke this one, then the next one he's picking up.
And really just like the being able to write a 16 or a 16 and an 8 or a 16 and a 12 for a verse and a chorus, you feel me, and a possible chorus in that 30 minutes, you know what I'm saying? And once we change to the next beat, I'm writing another verse. So like I'm kind of one of those people. So if I go into a session even now and we're in there with a producer, you know what I'm saying, and he makes a beat, I'm gonna start writing to it if I'm vibing, you feel me? And then I'm gonna probably within 5 minutes, maybe less, I'll have my first at least 6 bars ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And once we're really in there, he's cooking up, and we're in there for 30 minutes, I probably have a 16 written up. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I can really get an entire song out, like a 16, a chorus, and another 16 in like 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So it's from just being in there with him. 30 minutes, like, let's get to it. Let's try to make as many songs as possible. And I'm just, all right, in there trying to rap my face off. So
for the concepts on the songs, is it stuff that you kind of were like thinking on before you went into the studio that day, or is it stuff that you're just trying to like get inspired by like on the moment?
I would say it's kind of a combination of everything. So for the most part, you know what I'm saying, when I started, of course, I was just throwing rhymes together and blah blah blah, but I've always tried to rap about me. You know what I'm saying? About like what I know, what I grew up around, and just like my story. So I'm usually pulling in anything that's happening at any time. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a song that me and my dad wrote together where I was talking about playing football, and I played Pop Warner football. You know what I'm saying? So from growing up with him writing that style of music, it has portrayed into what I am now. So I'm still on that same tip, writing the stuff that I'm living through, and I'm going through, like with the slower R&B joint that I did, Factual. You know what I'm saying? That's what we know it by. That's really love. You know what I'm saying? Heartbreak, not knowing what was going on and having to get that emotion out. So I try to portray that in my rapping also, as well as the singing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And also I had a question on how is it like riding with your pops, bro? Like that's something I feel like I would like to know about, bro. Like shit, I mean, my dad's never really like dibble-dabbled in that, but he's something he's always like talked about like in his life, you know what I mean? That's some shit like he'd like to do. Like I feel like that experience is like probably something crazy, you know what I'm saying?
It's definitely interesting. I can't say that I remember every moment of it right now, but like the one that stands out the most is I was in, I believe, 7th grade maybe, and this was of course when my voice was really starting to really get deep or like close to something, you know what I'm saying? I'm in the midst of puberty, like can't believe it, you know what I'm saying? Armpit hair growing, voice getting deep. So I'm trying to sing on this track, and my voice keeps cracking, and I'm like, yo, like I can't do it. Like I just can't hit those notes anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to hit a higher note. He's trying to have me hit a higher note. And I remember him just going like, all right, you got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Just try it. You feel me? It might feel uncomfortable now, but like down the line when you want to hit that high note, you'll remember this moment right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like I would say just having somebody there like that I really have respect for. Of course, you feel me, him being my dad, and somebody that I look up to in the field of what I also love to do. You know what I'm saying? It was really dope. You know what I'm saying? So like, we haven't wrote a song together in a minute, but maybe just spark some shit right there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
man, that would be next level, bro. Definitely, I'm definitely curious to see how fucking you transferred those times into like your first projects in music and shit. And also I feel like you mentioned this earlier, it was on SoundCloud where you first like put shit out then, or was it like you feel me, like
well the songs that I have with my dad, they're out on YouTube. Okay. I would have to look up how to find them. My rap name back then was it was Richie Red. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody that's listening to this wants to find it, you know what I'm saying? Red. Richie Red, that's RICHIEREDD, I think. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the songs is called Facebook World.
Ooh, so that's tough though. I like
you
that
know what
name.
I'm saying? That was one of the joints that was actually one of the later joints that me and my dad had cooked up. Because you feel me, I was doing most of the writing by that point. But when I needed some fire chorus, he would come in and help me with the rhyme pattern, blah, 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 putting the chorus together and shit. What was the original question?
I think it just had to do with how like those experiences played into like your first release of music, and like, you know,
if
it was on SoundCloud, or if it was like on. Right. But that was interesting how you said though, it was you dropped some stuff on YouTube with your dad, and then so how'd you go from there to becoming Bredman?
So the name Bredman actually came from it was a combination of the homie J-Mo, the homie Ethan, and the homie Ben. We were playing basketball at this church, and I didn't have any basketball shoes at the time. So the homie J-Mo, he's gonna hate this. The homie J-Mo had a pair of fake Bred 11s, but they weren't his though. So like, you feel me? They were his uncle. So he brought them to me, and I was playing in them. And back then I was terrible at basketball. You feel me? My homies would say I'm bad now, but I'll be busting their ass. You know what I'm saying? But back then I was terrible. But that night, every time they passed me the ball in the corner, you feel me? It was knocking them down. So they were like, "It's the shoes, like the shoes so fake, they real." And then it was like, that's Bredman, like Bredman. And the next day we woke up, went to school, because we all spent the night at the homie's the homie Ethan's house after that. And when I woke up, they were just calling me Bredman. The name just stuck.
I feel like it was just one of those things that just never went away.
Yeah,
they were just
literally.
like, "Oh, that's Bredman."
Right.
Remember him? Like,
right. And it's crazy because my nickname before that was Red, and that was what my dad used to call me.
I was wondering if it had to do with that, because like obviously like there's Redman.
Right.
And I was wondering if that had anything to do with it, but it's kind of like a combination, because it was red.
Yeah.
So red to bread. Yep. And it just had the man.
And my barber used to call me Doughboy. Did you ever, Doughboy from Boys in the Hood? Right, yeah. So he used to call me Doughboy, and it's kind of funny now that people call me Bredman. So it's just mad random, you know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's sick though.
Yeah, you feel me? It's cool because I didn't have to make up my own shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I don't know what I would have named
like that's
myself.
just the hardest part about like being an artist, like your name, bro. Like, what do you want to be like as that? Like for me, I feel like I never had like a name other than West, but I never really was like super sold on it. I guess it just made sense on like it's my name. Like my name is Wesley, and my last name's Thomas. So I just was like, all right, West, put the T with the dot. You feel me? It's literally my last name, but after a while, like I don't know, I feel like I started to like Kendrick Lamar and like other people that kind of had their full name.
I feel that 1000%.
And I was kind of like, damn, what if I was Wesley Thomas? But you know what ruined it for me? Diplo. I didn't know that. No idea. The DJ Diplo, his name is Thomas Wesley, and then he dropped the country album under Thomas Wesley.
The artist Diplo.
Yeah, bro. Like it was the craziest thing in my life, bro.
Hell?
Imagine this was his name is your name backwards, bro. And then he dropped the country album under that name, like as to be like, oh, I'm doing country now.
Right? Yeah. Like just what are the odds? This other guy.
It almost made me think like maybe I shouldn't be my real name. Like maybe I should come. My name was right, like the original name, like. You feel me? But that was just a weird experience where like I was really thinking like, what if I just, because what do you think about that, like your full name? I feel like artists will have a big thing on that, like
my full name is Jeremiah.
Do you like it at least?
Jeremiah
Some people
Jones.
feel like they don't even want it. They're like, nah, I'd rather have like people come with a full ass stage name. You ever seen that? Where like their name is a fake other name? Like as performing?
I guess that's what Bredman kind of is.
Kind of, but it's like one word. You know what I mean? I'm talking about when they got like the full, like the name and the last name.
Joe Smith type shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've seen that. That's crazy.
That's funny. I think if I was to ever do other stuff, I wouldn't mind being called Jeremiah Jones.
Gotcha.
Like I feel like it's kind of catchy. Like I kind of fuck with it. But I also like my middle name. It's DeLejean. It's a combination of my grandfather's name and my great-grandfather's name. One's name was Dallas, the other was John. So they put the two names together. So, I mean, if people called me, like, DeLejean, I might fuck with that.
Bro, I really fuck with those, like, traditions like that. I have some shit like that, too, but I've never really thought about it as being a name like that, like, just something to use. But, like, so, like, my middle name is Lee. And, like, people be thinking I'm, like, Chinese or some shit, but it's not even like that, bro. Like my grandpa's last name was Leon.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's like every other, like the males is like Leon, like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's hard.
Like,
yeah,
it's like my
that's
dad's
tight.
last name. No, my grandpa's last name is Leon, but I forgot it up. My dad's is Leon. You feel me? So it's like Leon.
Yeah, that's hard. A lot of fuck with that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
That's trippy how like people have like traditions with their last middle names and shit.
Yeah, and I've noticed that a lot of people don't have middle names.
That too. My mom's on one that.
Is she Hispanic?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. See, a lot of Hispanic people that I've met have no middle name. They're like, I don't have a middle name. I've always thought that was so like odd. Like, man, don't we all get 3 names? But
yeah, I know. It's like, and there's no significance to it. Like,
right.
There's not like no extra reason. She's just like, no, I just don't got it.
Right, because some of them have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Some people have like multiple names. So
Facts.
it's like there's no really like middle ground within that. Like,
Facts.
I was gonna say, I think for Hispanic, I think they don't get the middle name sometimes, but they'll do like
multiple
adoption
last
of the last
names.
name.
Got you.
So it's like both sides of the family is part of the
Right,
last
and then
name.
they'll have like the guy from
That's what I'm saying. I've seen people that have like hella like last names
Sweet Life of
attached
Zack
to
and
it.
Cody.
Yes, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Yeah, he had 1,000 last names. You gotta insert that right there, like my 2 leave.
I remember that. That was like, good for them. That's crazy.
I feel you.
Do you have any other names you consider going by other than your producer name?
So that's a good question. Honestly, like when I stumbled across Mario, I was because I was playing Minecraft at the time, and I was playing I played a lot of video games growing up as a kid, and I always went under like my dad's. Actually, I guess this is like interesting distinction. So like my middle name, like to touch first back on this point of like, because sometimes people see my middle name, like you were saying, like they see and they're like, what the fuck? I didn't expect that. My middle name is Omar, and so they're like,
Okay.
They look at me like, I didn't expect like an Omar, and so like they were like,
I definitely wasn't expecting.
Yeah, like where'd you get Omar from?
but it's a name that's been passed down since it was from like my Bible.
And it's
my
always some
biological
shit
father.
like that where it's like
Yeah.
it's a tradition, like
Exactly. But it's funny because I was thinking about that because now when I went into video games, like I would, I'd adopted like my stepfather's like gamer tag, and like because I played like under his account for a lot, and then like even when I went on to make my own account, like I didn't know what other name to come up with at the time, so I would use his. So I didn't have like a name and shit. And then I was playing with my friend Drew at the time, and he was listening to Kid Cudi's, or I don't know if he was listening to it, but like
some Maui.
yeah, exactly. But he just said it like he was like that Maui, like, and I was like, damn.
It's an old song, but classic. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
and then he said it, but then he said it with the twist on it. He's like, because I was talking about like making my name.
I see what you're saying. Like he just casually said it on some Maui.
Yeah, like, it was-
shout out to Beanie Siegel who made Yeezy like that. Isn't that crazy how like they later?
Oh, what?
I remember that shit happened, bro. On the Drink Champs interview, like he said that shit, and then later on they followed up, and he actually got paid for that shit, bro. Like he made a post saying like he actually got his cut for that, bro.
Thank
but like
you.
same
That's
exact
love.
shit of just like him walking around being like, "Yo, Yeezy, yeah," and he was just
Right.
like,
It just,
all right.
it's stuck. Wow.
Yeah, no, definitely big shout out to Drew. Without him, I definitely would not have come up with that. Like because it was just like a perfect storm of like, he was just, we were like talking about it out loud. I was like trying to make a new name, and then he said it, and I was like, damn, that has like
that sounds
It
cool.
got a ring
it
to
just
it.
got a ring to it, because I was
That's
just
tight.
like, okay, so I stuck with that, and since then, I mean, that was back in like 8th grade maybe freshman year, and then like since then I've stuck with that name like through anything. I've thought about using other names and stuff like that.
What were they? Like, what was any ones you ever gave any specific like consideration to, where you were like, oh, I thought that sounded cool? Then you scrapped. Like, what's some of the scrap names?
I will say, I will say I've given more consideration to like when we were making like the name of like the Vine Tree. I had
We had a few of those.
yeah, like I remember making like a fucking list of just splatter against the wall.
Because we had a couple ones that were really good that we like also
were
were
workshopping
like,
for some time.
Yeah, so I think that's
Fire.
what led it to go into different directions, because there was like the Divine Tree. That's the one that really fucked me up.
Even before we got even before we got to like the Vine Tree iterations and stuff like that, like when we were just like one that I was like really on at the time was like questions not answers.
That one too. That was
Oh,
a good one.
yeah, y'all had some good ones.
That was what we
Yeah.
were really thinking of, like, because
Man.
we kind of knew what we wanted to stand for,
Right.
But we just didn't know what to label it as. You know what I mean? So that it was kind of like we knew we'd get around to it, if you will. We just didn't. We're just like waiting for like that click moment, you know?
Exactly.
To just be like, oh, this clicks. Like this is the one.
Because I fucked with it, and it was like there was like a whole bunch of different names and shit that we like experimented with, but eventually we went with that. So I feel like in that's where I feel like I could give an example more like
Gotcha.
shit
Like
that
that
I
was some shit where you like had a few other considerable
Yeah,
names
yeah.
and shit. And your producer name was much more of like a instant fit, if you will.
yeah, it was one of those that like it felt wrong to like sway away from it, like and it was also one of those that I hadn't run into anyone with my name like
Yeah,
spelled out
man.
that
Yeah,
way.
no, that's really
love.
no one I've never heard
Yeah.
before neither.
So that, and it was thankful, and I kind of fucked myself because I made some early accounts and stuff with that name, and then I forgot like the password until like the name flat out like isn't available. So now I have.
So you fucked yourself on the name. Like that's funny how like this happens back in the days. Like I think I got an email like that I locked myself out of, where it's like, you know what I'm saying, like West 2240 hours and shit like that, where it's like I had to put my full name on it, but the one with my shortened name is like never to be like under that at. Like I can never get it. Like no one can make a new one. Like, I just can't get
so
in that
many
one.
PlayStation
So, like,
Network accounts. I'm trying to play on different PlayStation accounts.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, this is mad random, but has anybody ever told you that you kind of look like Justin Bieber?
That's actually
that'd be cool. Has someone told you that? I've never
Bro, you don't, bro.
Now I'm never gonna unsee that.
No,
though.
bro,
I've
like,
never thought of that in my life. Now I'm gonna like look at you really closely and imagine Justin Bieber's face now every time.
That's crazy, bro.
It's funny. I'll take it now because I mean, shout out to Justin.
But now I feel
he's a
like
good-looking
his
dude.
look now I could see it now.
Yeah.
He's got it more like. You feel me? He's got him more with the facial hair.
Not that weak ass.
He's got him more manly.
That's when someone called, like when I was like young, someone said to me, I was like,
nah,
I don't feel
it
like
hurt. It hurt back then.
I don't feel like you look like him like
Hey,
that.
look, shout out to JB though, because
But he's a
his
real
music
one.
was always hard though.
Yeah, no,
it was
You
like
know what I'm
always
saying?
great, bro.
His look was
it was
kind
just
of
the
soft.
image at the moment.
Yeah.
Like he was still bowl cut.
No,
like,
now he look a little
like-
more like your style, your Steve.
Yeah, like that's like you run into JB one day, he's gonna be like, it's gonna
He's
be
gonna
like
be
that
like, I'm
Spider-Man
like, yo,
meme,
you like, I like that jacket. You know what I'm saying? That's funny. So where'd you get that from, bruh? But nah, low key, I feel like I'm glad I haven't had too many experiences of being like a lookalike like in my life. But do you think everybody has a doppelganger? That's the question I feel like everybody gotta have. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like yes.
Like, do you think that this exists in the world? Like everybody just got a doppelganger. Like,
I think
in reality,
there's a few folks that have like this like really unique look, and I feel like those are the folks that
yes.
are like, I want to say like kind of like blessed with like these like genetic alterations that give them like these different little things of like say like different colored eyes or different like little.
but do you
any
dead
kind
ass
of
think
things,
there's
like
a
different colored, like,
Mauricio or there's a
splotches, like-
Bredman somewhere across the world though?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
don't know.
just like happen to be super similar
that
to
looks-
you.
Yeah, I think for sure, bro. And I'll be
Like
honest,
he
my
holds the
reaction
same
with it-
role in that community as you hold in your community.
I'm gonna be
That's
honest.
some alternate universe shit. Like
I believe so.
You know?
I think so,
that's
just because I feel like
hilarious.
I've seen so many doppelgangers of other people that like I just know that it's just a matter of like if I've seen these people's doppelgangers within like the very few folks that I've like coming like in contact with across the world in comparison to like the billions that there are.
I have ran
it's
into
like,
a couple
damn,
fools
like-
where I'm just like, nah, this is you. Like, what are you doing over here, bro?
Have you ever had a situation where you thought somebody looked exactly like somebody else?
Mad times.
And then somebody else
Bro.
goes, nah, that doesn't look like them at all.
Bro,
And then you're
mad
like, are we
times,
not looking
bro.
at the same person?
No, bro, that shit is crazy, bro. I've literally walked up to someone and been like, hey, like, aren't you like so and so? Like, aren't you? And they're like, nah, that's not me.
That's
like,
not me, bro.
bro, like it was literally someone I thought I had a class with, bro, and their name was a
Wow.
whole different name. Like I checked their
Wow.
ID and shit, like, bro, their name was a whole different name, bro.
He had to shake him down like, give me ID, prove yourself.
Bro, like,
It's like, no, this is a fake.
yeah, it was
Like, I know
literally.
these-
I was just confused as hell, bro, because it was a doppelganger moment, bro.
That's
where
crazy.
They looked identically like someone else that I knew, and it just wasn't them.
So do you think that means that the two people who look alike, their parents look alike,
That's a good ass
and
question.
then like so on and so forth?
I don't know. That's
I wonder. I never thought about that, but I think scientifically, maybe because
Facts.
it's like genes, right?
Yes.
Like there's genes that combine to make you who you are, right? So what if
Yes.
y'all just happen to have like, you know what I'm saying? It was the same gene mix, like you know what I'm saying? Like those whatever box that was, there was the same mix of boxes. You know what I'm saying? It could have went a little different because they got like those recessive genes or whatever, like the less one. So there's a chance of it going awry. But what if it just went perfectly the same? You know what I mean? Like they got the red hair gene, you got the red hair gene, you got the fucking knee gene. They also had the tall knee gene.
I mean,
you know
but
what
if that's how, if you guys look alike, that's what happened.
that's what I mean. Like maybe that's
Yeah.
the result of that. Like it's not. They don't know that's gonna happen, but maybe that when we see it, it's like that's the result of that anomaly. Like oh shit,
Wow.
this shit was that close. Like
Wow.
That's interesting. That's wild.
But yeah, man, shit. Anything in your music though? What's one of the fucking What's one of your favorite like topics you've been able to dive into through music? I feel like it's a hard question to think about, but I think in writing songs, because I freestyle a lot, I feel like that's something I would kind of contemplate. You know what I mean?
Man.
Just like, because you really dive into subjects. So it's like, what's one of your favorite like subjects you got to dive into in a song? And just like, damn, let's see.
I enjoy telling the stories of my childhood and what the things that I learned then reflect onto now. You know what I'm saying? So on my project that I dropped in 2020 called Any Day Now, produced by Kwame, like that's the full name, Any Day Now, produced by Kwame. That's my uncle. Shout out Kwame. He's a fantastic producer. That album is basically a how can I put it into words? It's a story about us growing up when I used to live out in West Covina. So I lived out in West Covina for, well, really like La Puente, West Covina, for like 10 years. But I always went to school and had friends in Pasadena. But after football practice or whatever, we were getting on that 210 to the 605 back to the house. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's random. But I would say touching in on my childhood and definitely like love. I really enjoy talking about love because I feel like I can put words together well that can reflect love. You know what I'm saying? And not just love in a romantic way, but the love of things. You know what I'm saying? The love of people, the love of ideas, the love of life. You know what I'm saying? So I like to really reflect that a lot in my music. You know what I'm saying? And just like loving yourself. You feel me? That's a humongous part. Loving yourself. And in a way that isn't asshole-ish, but in a way that people can relate to. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people have to work on loving themselves. You know what I'm saying? A lot. And I feel like I'm one of those people. Like I have to work on loving myself a lot and pay attention to it. You feel me? So it's cool to be able to write about that type of stuff and be able to really like box it in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, thoughts can be all over the place, especially when it comes to love. You know what I'm saying? Because there are so many things you can love and there are so many things that you don't love. So like, but it's always happening. So when I'm able to capture that idea in a moment and put it onto a song, it's always great for me. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like that's I felt those, like, how you say, like, vibes coming off of like the first song that you did, like the Abundance, the one that's about to drop.
Right, yeah.
Because that was one where I feel like even in what you were saying, like that almost like that confidence.
Facts. That was what I performed. Man, that's hard. That's tight.
And that confidence, bro, I felt it in what you were saying, where it's almost like a certain sense of like self-confidence you kind of have to have, but it's like a way of like love and it's self-love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
it's like, and you use the word within that, like the name of the song, like abundance. Like,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's kind of like that word in itself is like has to do with self-love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like saying you have like an abundance of like.
Yeah, and in the chorus, it's abundance on my side. Yeah, so I'm really talking about everybody, all my people. You know what I'm saying? Like the lyrics are, let me put you on to something. Real niggas ain't common. They come one in every dozen. But luckily enough, we got real niggas in abundance on my side. You know what I'm saying?
Like getting at that, like almost like showing the love for your team and your people around
right,
you.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
I felt that when you were expressing it.
Who I am, yeah, man. That's love. It's tight that you could feel that from the lyrics and from hearing it. You know what I'm saying? Especially off the one time. Because it was only once, you know what I'm saying? So it's cool that you were able to.
I'm definitely a person that listens to lyrics, though. I would say that's like my draw to a lot of music. I think maybe that's why like I'm inclined to those parts about shit. Like the music and the shit does catch me, but like the words people say really like, I don't know, just stick with me in a different way.
Right, yeah.
I feel like they just have like mad like meaning to them. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I feel like words themselves could be here or there, like, you know, and how our intentions of them. But I just feel like in music, a lot of times, like you say, you know, we channeling some shit. So sometimes, like the way we use the words to purpose to channel some shit, it like just hits us at home. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Do you ever feel like you produce anything that pulls that kind of string for you? You know what I'm saying?
I think so. I think like question. So when I feel like when I get into my like bag of like kind of like soloing on like a piano or like using it as like a MIDI keyboard as like whether it be just piano or like another instrument, I feel like that's my best way of being able to kind of get that across in that sense of like production wise, because I feel like that's when I'm being like the most me and like the most vulnerable in a sense. And so like, and I can kind of give it a voice with it, because like with like the instruments, like when you hit like certain like melodies and the certain instrument that you use, you can use it to kind of portray, you can use it to portray emotion, because that's what it is. It's an expression of emotion. And so like I feel like I can really kind of tell a story with it sometimes,
right, in
the sense of like I feel like we talked about it in one of the episodes of like tension and release, of like how, you know,
this is the perfect example of how music can be reflective of like emotion or something you're trying to describe really hitting you on the nose, like, you know, just with words, because the tension and release describes it, you know what I'm saying, the up and down of it, and you can get really visceral within your production, you know what I'm saying. Man. And I feel like getting out what you're saying, you're much more looser to become visceral with that when you're freestyling and shit, you know what I'm saying, when
it's like some like random long like 20-minute loop of like drums or just something in the background, so I catch onto that and I just go with that. I feel like that's when I can really like
showcase the tension and release.
Man. Exactly, kind of try and in a sense like paint the story that I have in my head or the feelings that I have in my head onto the keyboard.
That's so I definitely feel how like those ups and downs of music are like, especially in freestyling, are shit that like kind of like when I lose track of maybe like the meaning of what I'm saying is like my way of being able to at least stick close to that. Right. Is that like I know I can take it up or down at least, you know what I'm saying, and I feel like that'll somewhat do it, but it's rare when I feel like maybe that's why I focus on the phrases and words, because it's rare when I have like every phrase that constantly takes you there, you know what I'm saying. It's more so like I feel like my flow wise and like topic wise it'll switch, but that like certain phrases have like power to them, you know what I'm saying. Like when you look at influential speakers and shit, you know what I'm saying, like just certain shit like what's that one Kendrick song, like the high power shit that J. Cole produced, like there's certain lines on that.
J. Cole produced that?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I remember that being like a crazy like thing, like because remember that was like when those first rumors started of like them making the collab tape. Because they were homies back then, and then people were like hyping that up. That's crazy. That's like when all that like that's why it became overhyped, really, right, because people were like, it's overdue. Wow. You know what I mean? They're like, bro, you guys could have been did it, like, and they've been hyping this, saying, yeah, we've been working together since then. That was like 2013, like.
I had no idea that, but it's crazy. I had. Are you guys familiar with the artist BJ the Chicago Kid?
Yep.
Okay, so when I was in high school, crazy shit. I was in high school, and one night my uncle actually hits me like, yo, like let's go to this recording session or to this album party, this release party. And it was for somebody that was from Pasadena. I can't remember the artist's name right now. But we went for their album release, sat in the studio. We were in NoHo. I can't remember the exact studio either. But we're sitting in there, we listen to their album, you feel me? We go through the whole thing. It's a bunch of people in there and shit. And then that ends, and people start to leak out into the like dining area, not dining area, but like the kicking spot. So it's a TV, couch, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So they in there chilling, and we walk in there, and my uncle was like, "I'll be right back," you know what I'm saying. And he's like, "Just stay in here." So I'm in there, got a little snack. I had to get my little snack on, you know what I'm saying. I'm a snack guy, and he literally texted me maybe 20-30 minutes later, you know what I'm saying. I'm 17, 18 sitting there like, man, like I don't know anybody here. My uncle has been going for 20-30 minutes, and then he finally hits me and he's like, slide to room, etc., blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying. So I slide in there, and it's a fucking recording session with BJ the Chicago Kid, but he's in there organizing his album at the time.
That's hard.
Yeah, and he had a song on there called Jeremiah. So whichever album it is that he has with the song Jeremiah on it. I'm not exactly familiar with the name of it.
I feel like I know the album, but I just don't remember the name. I know what you're talking about.
But I heard that whole album before he dropped it.
Because he hasn't dropped like a lot of
Yeah,
music.
he doesn't. It doesn't. It's
He
one of
don't
his
drop
older
like,
joints.
that's why like that album I think is one of his more known albums because he doesn't have like crazy amount of albums out.
Man, yeah, see, that's crazy. And he was, back to the J. Cole shit, he was playing beats that he got from J. Cole. And I remember him saying that and going like, J. Cole makes beats? Like, I had no idea. It was just so crazy, bro.
He's been making beats
Crazy.
a while now.
It's crazy.
I fucking want him.
I knew he made stuff for himself. I didn't know he was making stuff for others.
Right, yeah, and getting placements. Like a Kendrick placement?
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
That's
Yeah,
love.
it was only on some like
Yeah.
it was on some TDE to like him being like with well at that time he was with Jay-Z and them on that tip because remember J. Cole was under Rock Nation and then like early on because he hadn't started his label shit yet.
That's facts. That's crazy.
That's wild though. So I guess one question that when you saw them kind of like arranging the album, like what was that process like seeing like someone else like go through that?
It was crazy because I personally had never done it before. You know what I'm saying? And I had never really seen somebody in a big ass studio with their own personal engineer in there with the booth right there where you could see it behind these big ass glass windows, you know what I'm saying? Fat ass speaker right above where they're sitting at. So it was just nuts to see and it was crazy to hear it because at that point I heard what it needed to sound like. You know what I'm saying? Like the beat and the vocals. Like at the time I was more so focused on vocals because I produce now as well. Like I produced that Abundance. I produced that joint. But sitting in there and hearing how pronounced his vocals were and how strong he was going at the track, you know what I'm saying, and how he wasn't hesitating in his performance, it made me sit back and just be in awe. Really, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But also writing down the names, you know what I'm saying, of all the songs on a big ass whiteboard. You know what I'm saying? That right there is the key. Like you feel me?
Facts.
Organization. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely need to get more on
Yeah.
that myself. I have a whiteboard. I don't use it like that for that. But I recently went to my homies too, and I know you have a whiteboard. You use it for like your life and shit. But like, fucking, these fools had like two homies I make music with. I was recording there, bro. I seen a project they're working on. It's like 20 plus tracks,
Facts.
bro.
Right.
And it's like all right there,
Man.
bro. Like everything, and I'm just like. It just looks crazy to me, you know what I mean? Just the visual of it itself just was like, what the fuck? Like it just looks tangible, if you will. Like
Right,
that's
exactly.
That's the part
That's the
where I feel like
perfect word right there.
like I understand people's need for it. It makes it feel tangible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Not like I feel like that's the time I use it most is when it comes to like in projects and like trying to one arrangement and two like keeping track of everything. So I'll use it as like a check, like I'll have them all written out and then I'll have like little certain check marks next to it, be like, all right, this song is mixed, this song is mastered, this song has been like there's a video for it or like a visual for it,
Right,
like,
right.
and make sure everything is already kind of like checked on the list. And then like, but you know, certain, it's not usually in order, so but it's like a way of kind of being able to determine what I need to work on next, what not, and if there's ever changes and shit, kind of like being able to rearrange. I feel like
Right.
most of the rearrangements I do for like the list, I do it on my phone.
Yeah, I
that's
do a
what
lot
I
of
was
that
gonna
as
say. We've
well.
done a lot of that as far as like just reworking them. We're just like in the iTunes as far as like like track listing.
Yeah, like just listening it. I'll go on like walks and then just listen to the album front to back, and
Man,
like be
yeah,
making little
yeah.
changes, like
Thank you.
moving it, like be like, no, let's try this song after this song after this song,
Right.
like, you know what I mean? Because it's so important.
Yeah, no,
I feel
that
like
that part is really is cool. I mean, I
flow.
feel like I'd want to know your opinion on that. Maybe like as far as like sequencing and shit like that. Like, how do you go about that? Are you like a single person, or are you like a concept album kind of person? Like you want to have like your shit like this is my intro, this is my.
I enjoy project-wise going for something. You know what I'm saying? It makes me feel like I'm getting off a little book. You know what I'm saying? So with the singles, like I might drop something really emotional or something that smacks or something in between for a single. But when I do albums, I really try to do my best to paint something or to go for a specific sound. You know what I'm saying? So
something's a sound rather than a concept, you would say?
I would
is a concept though, maybe.
Yeah, it's like a fine line combination of both. Sometimes I will go concept heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like this album, this next project that I'm gonna release is the name that I have for it right now is Mace Windu. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going for like this minimalistic vibe. But have you ever listened to like a Mac Homie?
Yeah.
Or Mac Homie,
the thing you rocking right
West
now,
Side
right?
Gun. Yeah, this my babushka right here. You know what I'm saying? So like Mac Homie, West Side Gun, all of those guys over there. What's his name? The Conductor. Shout out to Conductor. He's one of the hardest. You know who that is?
That's like Conductor. That's like the beat. That's like one fool. His name is Beat Conductor.
Hey.
And they also fuck with Derringer, and they also fuck with Alchemist. Like,
yes.
Pretty much their main producers
shout out
right
to
there.
Alchemist. Shout out Derringer. Them
And Beat
niggas
Conductor.
killing the shit. And Beat Conductor are killing that shit. So I've been listening to hella of that, and it made me really like start thinking about every single word I say. Because when they speak,
yeah, that's what I was talking about
say.
when I brought up high power.
Right.
Like, that's what I relate that to. Like, just every single word you say really meaning some shit. And I've noticed that in your music, is what I'm saying. Like, you're like, I feel like I see you going for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I really love the idea of every word making you want to hear the next word. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you'll hear some rappers and they do like the mumble rap. And I'm not saying that what they're saying doesn't mean anything. I love that shit. You catch me banging some Young Thug right now. That nigga's hard. So hard, I mean. Sometimes you don't know exactly what they're saying. Sometimes they'll go, I'm a getting a bitch in a right? You feel me? And at times you can get lost in the music. You feel me? You'll be listening to the beat, but the lyrics are more so a synthesizer in a way, or some sort of bass line. It's just a vibe, like, you feel me? At least that's what I get from a lot of their music. You know what I'm saying? Or at least like the older trap when that shit first came out, you know what I'm saying?
For me, a lot of music today, I feel like is like that.
Facts, even the pop music.
Where the vocal is being used is like, well, I enjoy it at times, but just as like another instrument within the mix, not really like something to like lead you anywhere.
Right, yeah, and I grew up on Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying? I could say that name 10 more times, you know what I'm saying? I grew up on Kendrick, Cole, Jay-Z, Nas, you know what I'm saying? Some West Coast artist, Snoop.
We're about to see Nas this Saturday, bro.
That's gonna be fucking hard. Is he gonna be in there with Hit Boy?
I probably, because they just dropped 2 albums. I would hope so.
Ooh, that latest Nas joint is fucking hard.
Yeah, like,
oh my god.
There's someone else really dope at the same time as him, but I honestly can't miss him. Like, whoever it is, I don't really.
Right.
Everyone is telling me, bro, it's Nas, bro.
Yeah, it's Nas. Like, you gotta get in the building to see Nas. You have to. Like, that's like a you never know type of thing. You may never be able to catch him again. You never really know. Like, that's hard. But I grew up on all of those artists. DJ Quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
that's like one of the goats to me.
That was like one of my dad's favorite artists.
Thank you. That was one of my dad's favorite artists.
He always
too.
put me on him. Like when I was young. Matter of fact, like going to Pop Warner football games. That was how I really got put on.
Thank
DJ
you.
Quick,
Yes,
bro.
man. We used to be on the same tip. Thank you.
My dad would put on like what's that shit called? Like Change the Game, and he would also put on like the Compton shit. Like
I used to be off that
like straight out of Compton. He'll play that like his first shit,
smashing.
and then he'll play like his new shit because he had like the greatest hits at that time.
Yeah, you feel me? He was still putting shit out. Like he was on streaming with the greatest hits. Like
ain't that crazy how CDs used to be popping like that back then? Like you used to really go out and be like, this was been out for some years. I could just get all of his slaps right here.
Man, thank you. Right, like and the greatest hits album. Like get the separate album and the greatest hits. It's crazy, but. Their voices were so pronounced on their tracks, even with somebody like a DJ Quick.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And he produced a lot of the shit,
right?
Which is crazy. Like,
thank you.
I feel like what set him apart and like put him in legendary status at that time was that like other goats got his production and they recognized his sound.
Yes,
that he had his own sound. And at the time, not many people had their at least in there, had their own sound. We had our own sound, I feel like, apart from like other areas. Like
Yes,
every area had their
sure.
distinct sound.
For sure.
But it was kind of like not within the areas.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was
Right.
just like whatever's your sound's area, like whatever the
Right.
area is, like he was like, that's my area sound. Like, but he was like, he was the first one that's like, nah, I got like this particular sound with this West Coast shit, like, because he's crafting it. So he was able to craft it a little bit like specific to his style.
Yeah, the West Coast would be a totally different scene without DJ Quick. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? Like
there
they
would be
were.
no one really innovating like that.
Yeah,
at that
you feel
time.
me? And he was with all of the goats. You know what I'm saying? He was really cooking up with all the goats. Like he was a part of Death Row, right? I'm pretty sure he was a part of Death Row at one point.
Yeah, I mean, he fucked with them, but he was always independent. He was still on his independent shit.
Cause I remember he told a story one time about like Suge Knight.
Yeah, because he produced for like he's a producer, bro. So he produced for all of those fools, like a lot of the artists. Mad at the artists, but I don't know if he was ever signed to them outright. I think he did a lot of production deals with them on beats. Like,
that makes perfect sense. That's more love for him. He's smart for that. They was tripping at Death Row.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I feel like he probably was looking at it like coming into the game, like already dealing with a lot of shit. Like he had beefs, he already had shit going on.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
he was like, I'm trying to make money.
Right.
That's what he's been about. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
It don't make no motherfucking sense, boy. It don't make no sense. But I think a lot of artists these days are just trying to sound like each other, which I think is really fucking weird. You know what I'm saying? Like there are 16,000 people trying to sound like Young Thug. You know what I'm saying? But Young Thug is fucking Young Thug. He already did that. You know what I'm saying? And
he sounds like that because of the unique experiences that made him him.
You
like,
know what I'm saying? So like, why are you trying to portray somebody else's story? You know what I'm saying? Why not portray anything and be yourself? I just saw an interview of Lil Wayne. He might have been getting interrogated, but in this shit they kept asking him, what are you portraying? What does the media portray you as? And he goes, he said, what do you think the media portrays you as? And he goes, I don't know, y'all just making shit up. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, what do you portray yourself as? And he's like, I'm not portraying myself as anything. I'm being me. Like, this is my lifestyle. You guys make the narrative, but I'm just doing me. You know what I'm saying? So like, in that sense, it's like, where did that go in the artistry? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to be me. I want people to know who I am. I want people to know where I'm from, and I want to sound like where I'm from. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely feel like that shit flipped on its head completely.
Yeah,
like where it was like a mark of something,
right?
To be like not like anyone else at a point in time in music.
I feel like it still is. I think that
I feel like it's flipped on its head by even bigger acts trying to be like everybody else.
Facts. So this is where I want to get with that. I think so. Like a lot of the artists that have these unique qualities to them are exactly that, unique qualities.
Right.
So they have usually like a certain tone of voice, a certain delivery, a certain thing that they innovate and they start, right? Because they're the first ones to have it. But especially on the tone, I feel like that's the one where like it really resonates on the uniqueness of like stamping it as like, this is this person, right? And it gets to this point where I feel like we were talking about like the doppelgängers thing. I feel like there's only so many tones in the world that it, like that are like natural tones that like at a certain point they'll overlap to a certain degree. So I think people just naturally will start sounding like similar. Like, did you hear like in like the Game interview where he talks about how people tell him he sounds like Nas? You know what I mean? And that was like a thing.
Yeah. I feel like in that related to his like style though of writing early though.
Yeah, but that within the style of writing and sonically, like, you know, just like the raspy voice.
Oh yeah, you're right though. Yeah.
But go for it. My bad. I don't know.
Sorry, no. I was just wanted to say like that it was in that sense of like that's like the early sense of just a natural voice, right? And that's just like what people are doing naturally. And then I feel like that combined with, so that's just kind of giving an example of like there, at a certain point there's going to be overlap. That's naturally right.
That's true.
But now I think what's also exemplified is like people wanting to portray an image, and I feel like this is something where like I get a lot into like this talk of like the Hollywood of things and like social media style of like just trying to give like a persona of what you're trying to come across, and like within that people just lean to what they see, what they like, what they they don't know another thing, and so like sometimes they just kind of, I feel like
And
that's
I'm thinking in that sense, like you saying, that has influenced people to like try to pursue the same sounds like that.
Yeah.
Effect, because
Right.
it kind of has influenced people to be like, well, if these things are popular, like this is what catches, like I'm gonna pursue that. But I see what you're saying, like without that factor, maybe that shit would have still been on the rise in the same way it was on the rise. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's always been, sound thieves. You know what I'm saying? It's just that now every sound thief has a SoundCloud. You know what I'm saying? So we hear so much of people just trying to sound like other things that like they aren't living, whether it's a story or a
I
sound.
feel like it has to do
Or,
it because
you know what
they
I'm
feel
saying?
like it's like possibly like profitable.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
facts.
And I
I mean,
think their like
yeah.
view of it is probably more clear to them, or like not even profitable, but like they can gain clout from it or whatever
Yeah,
the fuck
nah,
they feel like they can
I
gain
feel
from
that.
it.
I
I
feel
feel like
that.
that's what's fucked people up.
I
You know what I'm
feel
saying?
that.
Because back in the day, I don't feel like people thought you'd get nothing. You wouldn't get no respect for that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
Like
also,
now they're like, oh shit, like they'll retweet me if I fucking put a Young Thug song up. Like they'll be like,
Facts.
and on some annoying shit.
Yeah.
People will sometimes post some shit that you're doing more like everything else than some different shit.
Yeah, which is
Which
very
is weird,
interesting
right?
to me. You would think that people would want to hear
Something different than what they
things.
usually get.
Yeah, yeah.
But then sometimes they champion you being more like
right,
every
like
other
somebody,
shit.
yeah, which is weird. But a lot of people want to cheat that grind. You know what I'm saying? That's a cheat code to the grind. Sound like somebody else, and it probably won't last. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see so many people. They say that the average person lasts in the game like when they hit their peak for like 3 years. But then you have people who outlast that, like the Young Thugs, like the Futures, like the Drakes, like the Kendricks, like the J. Coles. You know what I'm saying? Like the ASAPs, Tylers, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like even that lifespan has diminished in a sense. Like people are blowing up for one
I
song.
was just thinking about this a
You know
few
what I'm
days
saying?
ago, bro. I was reading this about one person we really fuck with. I haven't talked to the homie about this yet, but JPEG is an artist I really, really like, bro. Like,
I think I've heard of that
personally.
person
His
before.
name is JPEG Mafia. But one thing I'm starting to not realize, but I just felt weird about in these past little recently, I was like, damn, is even certain runways of like hype and shit like dwindling for what they once were, you know what I'm saying? And not
Definitely.
like you know what I'm saying, like I was just looking at it like in his run, like I looked at his run and I'm like, I feel like he still could have a run. Like I'm not the person to say his run's over, but just little by little I just feel like it's less oomph on it than it once was. I don't necessarily see it like continuing its oomph. Like I'm not saying he can't do it again, but you know what I mean, like those things just make you think sometimes. Like you're just like, damn, like at one point in time this shit looked like really like it was about to hit this peak.
Right.
And now it doesn't like it's going down, but it doesn't like it's continuing to go up anymore.
honestly, I feel like this is a really interesting topic because, like, so we haven't talked about this, and like, for the JPEG stuff, I feel like funnily enough, the JPEG subreddit is one of the few subreddits that I do follow on Reddit.
I've heard Reddit is fire. I've never
It's
used it,
Reddit
but
is
I've heard
fire.
it's hard.
It's dope. I just like it's like a mega forum, so you could talk about like any and everything, and like you can find other people that like certain like categories that you can talk about certain things. One of them being the JPEG thing. So I feel like I've followed a lot of like what has been going on with like the JPEG things in like the past couple weeks, and like how that side of the fan base is reacting to things. And it's interesting. The thing with JPEG is that he had this whole thing of like putting out certain songs that were not on streaming and then on streaming and then like being taken off, and he has like a whole discography of stuff that's like not on streaming, and it's just like this battle of, because there was like this whole thing where he put off like the EP LP, the LP2, like the
basically
offline.
like a offline version and an online version of his album where there's a link to download it with the samples that's not clear.
Oh, okay,
And
so
in
like
the
some street
arrangement-
legend shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, like in the
It's hard.
arrangement that he
It's-
wants.
Yeah, and it's sick. Don't get me wrong. Like the music is sick, and like the thing is, but like the certain like rollout of this, I don't know if it's just caused so much confusion and like a certain sense of like what is even out there, and like half the people don't even know certain songs exist because like unless you're not in certain forums, like if you're just like a casual fan that's like listening to JPEG, right, and you stumble upon his music on Spotify, and then you listen to like another song, you're like, okay, cool. That's it. All you know is what's there. Like to see the extra stuff, like it takes this extra step, and I feel like that made me think of like the Snoop Dogg thing where he pulled like all the death row stuff off of, or not, I don't know if all the death row, I think is like now they're saying it's only like selective things.
Yeah,
like,
they took off. I saw they took off the Chronic and they took off Doggy Style.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw that for sure.
Streamings?
Yeah, off of Spotify at least.
Oh, okay.
I am beyond thankful that you got me the Chronic on vinyl, so I never have to worry about like that.
That's hard as
And I'm
fuck.
glad that Doggy Style was the first like digital
album you bought?
the digital, yeah,
That's
first digital
hard.
album I ever
Yeah.
My first one I ever bought was To Pimp a Butterfly.
A digital album?
Yeah, like,
I don't know if
like
I've
on
ever
iTunes.
bought
You
one.
know what I'm saying? Like
Like
I
on
never
iTunes,
really
yeah,
like.
yeah.
Cause we come in the era where it's like, why the fuck are you buying some shit on iTunes?
Right,
But like,
facts.
but I bought like that's the only thing I ever bought on iTunes. Is To Pimp a Butterfly when it came out. Cause like
Man.
they was kind of burning out like the free downloads at that time. Like when Yeezus was coming out and all that shit. Like
Yeah,
they were
for
really
real.
strict about the bullshit then. So
Yeah, well, I used to be off that LimeWire going crazy.
yeah, that was when
man.
LimeWire got a little fucked up. It was like
Ah,
2012,
yeah, true.
2013.
Yep.
And I was like, damn, I didn't know what to do, bro. I was in a jam. But then I had to buy that album. I was like, man, I respect Kendrick.
I remember I came across that Lil Wayne song, that How to Love. You know that
Yeah.
song? I came across that for the
danced to
first
that song at
time.
like a homecoming in 9th grade, man.
Man, that'd have all the little shorties like, "Oh, I'm trying to find somebody to dance with right
Definitely
now."
was the vibes.
Man.
I love that's what
Came across that shit randomly looking for Lil Wayne tracks on LimeWire. That was my first time ever hearing it. It was crazy. Crazy shit ever. I'm like, y'all heard this new Wayne? Like,
crazy times, man.
crazy times.
But that's what it's like. Those times they were lit, and like we found music in that sense, and like that's why we were able to find like this cool stuff, right? But like now we transitioned to this era that like that stuff gets like so swept under the rug that I feel like when artists try to take approaches like that, like it, as much as it's cool from the artistic approach, and I get it and I respect it from that. So like in that sense, I'm all for it. Like full
Right,
support there.
kudos.
You know. But like when you're saying like the 10th in like blowing up or like getting like a more mass appeal, like you're saying, it seems like it's fumbled in a sense or like that. I think that was part in it, is like the idea of now making things too limited of an edition.
Yeah, that I'm wondering how big is your ceiling now.
Right, he almost cheating himself in a way.
Exactly. You know?
Yeah, because I feel like I feel like he was on the rise to it. He maybe had to ride out a little more bullshit that he wanted to deal with, but it was going good.
Man,
You know what I mean?
Maybe he didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no telling what's going on with that man mentally in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
So like, or maybe what he did and what he releases, he actively still releasing music.
Yeah.
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 He just
Oh,
released
okay.
some new songs recently. I remember hearing that.
Do you have any idea of how well he does off the script? You know what I'm saying? Like not doing streaming and all type of
Yeah,
shit.
I think on that he's holding.
on some shit
That's what
lately.
I'd say. He's holding on a strong. How do you say like? Oh, you mean like himself?
No, I mean like with
Like
the
in
like
touring
his
and
reception
shit, right?
and shit. Like are
So
people
yeah,
showing up
on
for him
that,
and shit?
I feel like that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
God, yeah,
that was the
run
thing
it
I was
up.
gonna say. He's holding on to that saving grace. He's going on a world tour that's about to start.
A world tour?
Yeah, world tour. But he started selling it a
Oh.
while ago. You know what I'm saying? He started selling it like a while before it started. It's just about to start. But,
That's weird, but like he sold out a world tour.
but I'm as a fan, I'm a little curious to how long he's gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
right.
like that's what my view of the world tour is. I'm looking at it like I know you could do this again, but I'm also looking at it like it almost seems like a goodbye tour. Like it almost
It
seems
could-
like
hey,
this is my peak tour.
It could be he could
You know
be
what I
on
mean?
some artist shit.
Because it
like-
is hella dates and it's hella places and it's all across the world. You know what I mean?
But this could be what blows him up.
And that's could be the thing that just takes you to float to the next level too. That's why you never really know.
Cause I'm not gonna lie, like I
But
personally,
it doesn't so much look so promised that like because when we at the time like right before the pandemic we seen him at Coachella
Okay.
and he had just got there. Like you see what I'm saying? It was
Oh,
like
okay.
as a
Oh.
new act. Like it was like he was
Okay.
really rising like that year. And then it kind of took all that shit started happening of just him kind of being like, I don't know if I'm gonna push it out here. I'm gonna start putting shit out on YouTube. I'm gonna start like
he started
and then you start not really
playing that
seeing
game.
how much like if it was like which was fine. But also because I'm rocking with his music, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
it's like as a fan, I don't really give a fuck. But just you start to wonder like, damn, Like, I feel like he was championed a bit because of the amount of people, like you mentioned, like the amount of how well he was doing off script.
Right.
He was championed at how much he didn't need to do the other shit and was doing well with it. Right. But then I started looking at that shit like, is he gonna keep it up?
Yeah. Okay. Right.
You know what I mean?
I feel like at some point you got to hit the surface. Like, all right, now I did this for y'all and we rocked it, and I appreciate all my cult following fucking with me heavy. But now let's take this shit to the next level. But like, you never know if that's what he want to do.
You never know if he wants to do, or if he doesn't even want to take it to the next level. He might post up right here and be like, I did this. This was it.
And he probably making chili, so I feel it on God.
I think it's because I think it gets to a point of like him trying to stay true to himself, because this is like an artist who, like, when we talk about like unique voices or like unique styles, I feel like he's someone who's like found his own lane and really like embodied that, and like it's so unique in a sense sometimes that like it doesn't get enough mainstream coverage. You know what I mean?
And right when he started too, was like, what was that album, bro? I remember he started getting hella in the album before his last shit.
Like not the Heroes Are Cornballs, but that one?
That one.
What's like a very popular song by this guy?
Well, weird enough, it was called, and it might have been the one that has like on Heroes Are Cornballs, there's a name.
Like,
what's the name on that? What's the name of the song on that Heroes Are Cornballs album that has a really wild name, like Jesus something? You know what I'm talking about, bro? Like the single. I can't remember the name. It has a crazy name.
Jesus Forgive Me, I'm a Thought.
How does it go?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like that's a song everybody knows. I can't remember how that shit goes. He also did a cover to fucking TLC Scrubs, which I hold in my heart.
That one's really
I know Scrubs.
I hold that in my heart, and it's like has like the beat is like mixed like a very alternative like lo-fi mix, but he's singing that shit in auto-tune like.
Ooh.
I'm so glad you mentioned that song, because I realized we were talking about it in an episode in another podcast episode of like samples that are going to be used in the future, like of like songs that are like semi, like of
our generation
of our
type
like
shit.
Yeah, like say someone samples like a Young Thug or like a Lil Wayne or a Cole or a Kendrick.
Oh yeah, someone's gonna sample.
That's gonna be
me a check.
hard.
I got a check. Someone's gonna sample that,
I'm trying
bro.
to be producing for young niggas at that point.
Imagine like a young kid's gonna have like the check sample in the song, and you're gonna be like, you don't even know how that was when I was
like
out.
some Wayne, like somebody gonna use that. I'm
or Lollipop, bro. I'm waiting on somebody to sample Lollipop, bro.
Yeah, that's gonna
I can
be
feel
hard.
that right now.
Right? Yeah, that's hard. Wow.
But that song was one that I wanted. I'm mad at myself for not having mentioned it in that conversation, because that song is like a perfect example of like someone using like a current thing and like putting their twist, like even like that
a
one
sample
wasn't a
that
full
just
sample.
tested, a sample that just lasted through time, where even now somebody that's on the cutting edge of music is looking to just like, look at them, bro. Look at Jermaine Dupri when he made that. Think how he feels, bro. Being like, damn, bro, like
Usher
some
albums.
shit we like wrote right now, bro. People are still getting influenced by and using in making new cutting edge shit.
Yeah, like, man, because that Confessions album is one of the greatest albums of all time.
Oh yeah, bro.
Oh my god,
that beat on that song, bro. Confessions,
bro,
like
that Superstar. You know that Superstar on there?
Yeah.
That
you know, you talking about
that song is so hard. Oh my
I'm thinking
goodness.
of the other one, bro. Bad Girls, just like super.
That song is.
Bro,
Hey,
give me a. Bro, that
thank
song
you,
is
like,
crazy.
thank you. That song is
I'm gonna add
crazy.
that one to the playlist this week for
Man.
sure. Fucking love that song.
Yeah.
I will
That's
say,
fire.
remember my dad loved the song Confessions. Like that song was like on repeat on the car ride home a lot. My sister loved that song. That was like her favorite song. When like you asked her like what was like your favorite song, that's
She's
like
like, these are my confessions. Just when I thought I said I like. Bro, the writing on that is crazy.
But that's what it is. It's like, because you don't even literally gotta relate to the shit they're going through, bro. Like, and that song's a perfect example of it, because not everybody has went through that experience, bro.
Yeah,
but like those fucking Sonics, bro, are like great, bro.
Great sample.
Great, bro. Like. That's crazy. That shows you the power of music right there, though. Because to be honest, like, how many of us can say like we didn't do that? I don't think everybody. So why? Like, that was
what
like,
am I confessing? But like, the words are so poignant that like you can connect your own shit to it. It might be, you feel me, as a little kid. Like, think about being a little kid listening to that. Like, all I had to confess for was, you feel me, like not washing the dishes,
literally,
or
but it
you
was
feel
jamming,
me,
though.
not picking up some dog poop, but like. I'm singing that, feeling that, like, these are my confessions. Like, I didn't wash the dishes last night, but I know I'm gonna get my ass beat. You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? That shit is crazy, man.
Oh, bro. Do you ever see yourself making a full R&B song? The full, like, singing. Now, you sing already.
Yeah,
you ever see yourself, like, singing, or already have you?
I would say that Factual, if you were to hear it again,
that
the
one
whole
was
shit
very.
is all singing.
That was gonna say that one
Yeah.
was pretty much hella singing all the way out to
So,
me. But is that your first endeavor in that, or that's something you already tried out before?
One of my more popular songs is called Spaceship, and the chorus and the first verse is all singing. But it's like I'm really trying to get on there and blow. So like, over the past maybe 2.5 to 3 years, I've really tried to focal point in on my singing. So I've been trying to do more of that because I felt like I had the rapping, at least the practice of it down at a certain point. So now I went, okay, I'm gonna switch lanes a little. I'm still gonna keep rapping because I always gotta bite these niggas' heads off. You know what I'm saying? I always gotta bite their fucking heads off. You know what I'm saying? But for the shorties, they love to hear them soft tones on a late night. You know what I'm saying? So I had to start singing more, and I feel like as of late, I've been really bringing the two sounds together. So my plan is to actually, I want to do my best to get more music out. So I've had a lot of music get dropped so far, and I've done a good amount of features, but I want to step more into dropping projects so that people can get what I'm feeling for 3 months instead of what I felt on one night or in a week, or you know what I'm saying, when I was just trying to catch a vibe and I got that vibe off. I want people to be able to feel my entire winter, you feel me, or my entire summer, or you know, whatever other season, spring and fall, you know what I'm saying?
That's
so
deep right there,
yeah,
though.
you feel me? I
that
want
saying
them,
right there, I feel like alone is like something that like I haven't specifically thought of, but like I feel the longing for it as an artist, you know what I mean? Because we go through a lot within those
you know
seasons.
what I'm saying?
Like,
thank you. Yeah,
to
like,
be able to paint that full picture.
Right, yeah, I want to paint the whole picture, and I want you to feel what I was thinking about in these moments, in these cold nights, you know what I'm saying? But leading back to the question of singing, I want to do a R&B album, but not like, it's of course gonna have rapping on there, but I'm getting ready to release that Mace Windu that I was talking about. I'm doing mix and mastering for it now, and organizing, and maybe adding on a couple more production things just to make it feel more cohesive. But that's gonna be minimalistic rap, so more so drums and sample heavy, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll mix in the little bits of newer drum sounds, or et cetera, but after that I'm working on organizing. I'm thinking a shorter tape, maybe 6 to 8 songs of more so love R&B tracks, but that feel like Bredman. So I don't want to deviate too far away from who I am as a rapper, because my rapping makes my singing harder. You know what I'm saying? No doubt about it.
No, for me, my favorite R&B acts, at least male ones, it has to do with a lot of time their ability to kind of blend those worlds, if you will.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You know what
like,
I'm
I don't know if you guys listen to the artist Snow Allegra.
Yeah.
Okay.
100.
I am one of the biggest fucking Snow Allegra fans ever.
Same right here.
You know
bro.
what I'm saying? She's too
I
fire.
definitely, I be over the top gas on Snow.
You know what I'm
bro.
saying? Over the top. Can't
Oh,
help
wait,
it.
you see her at Dan Vegas too?
Yes.
Fucking
Saw her at
smoke
Dan
that
Vegas.
shit.
Hey, she's bad in person too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
oh
saying?
God.
Bad in person. Hey. And she got Jody's, for my people out there who know what Jody's is. But she's amazing, and her way of singing and following those rhythms, when she does it, it feels like she's rapping. You know what I'm saying? So like, I really fuck with that heavy, and it inspires me a lot to not be scared to combine this rap shit with the singing and making it all sound like one thing. You know what I'm saying? So I fuck with that heavy.
Definitely. I feel like that's something at one point maybe I'll try to explore. I think first I'm gonna try to work on my first like solo project, if you will. But I think that's gonna come out soon, because I think right now we working on a project with Derek.
Stop playing. You heard?
Yeah, man, that's definitely some shit that's we working on. But we're gonna do a tape with Derek.
Okay.
For Speakeasy, and then also I'm gonna drop a tape with my homie producer Radler.
Okay.
That we've been working on since like last summer, both of them since about like last summer.
It's fire.
And then a freestyle tape by the Vine Tree.
Oh, okay, thank
That's
you.
just gonna be like
that's
the bread
hard.
and butter right there. 'Cause
Right.
that's something we kind of made while doing this.
Right, thank you.
Which was like
2 worlds coming together.
Yeah,
That's hard.
and it's ill because like it just was honestly I've freestyled a lot, but I haven't really outright like I guess held myself to that standard. So a big part of it was Mauricio for real holding myself to being like any songs where I was like I liked them but they just weren't freestyles. He was like nah, but it's not for this.
Right.
Like and just kind of being like until a point where we just had
Big
these ones right
fucking
here
facts.
of like damn. This is like
Right.
this is what this is, you know what I mean? And I love that shit is like gonna be something we get to kind of like test out in the world. So I feel like I'm one of those people like when I met Mauricio, I realized I wanted to do a lot of different shit, and I feel like once I learned that like necessarily not sticking to one lane was my lane, then I like it freed up my creativity a little bit.
Right,
Like
yeah, I
shout
feel
out to
that
people like Donald
1000%.
Glover and like other artists like that,
Right,
where I was
okay,
really like
man.
I admired his ability to take breaks and do different projects, and I seen that helped him kind of be the man in each one of them.
Yeah,
you know?
like I didn't even mention him, but like I was thinking about him the whole time. Like I really fuck with his unrelenting like experimentation. You know what I'm saying? He does whatever the fuck he wants. Like that's so hard to me. That album, I hate that I can't remember the name of this album right now, but
Awaken My Love?
Bro, that's one of the greatest albums of all time. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? That make me feel like that album is amazing, and it's so left of what people were used to hearing. It's so different from any other of those mecca artists that we have right now. You know what I'm saying? And people that were dropping albums at that same time. You know what I'm saying? Even now, like
that album probably
it's crazy.
like soundtracked probably one of the biggest transformative periods in my life, bro. Like just meeting this fool and like making the tape, like that was all that time. Like, you know what I mean? All the way up until the point of going to Coachella and seeing that album live. Like from that coming out to that time, bro, probably was the most transformative period of my life.
Man.
And like I think that like that alone kind of showed him himself, even using that album, showed me parts about how I want to go about my creativity, because when I was watching Atlanta, which is about to come back, he put that album in the like the scene like as an art in one of the ending of the seasons, and that was something that was just like I don't know, like that and the single music played on the intro of one episode,
right?
That just like stuck with my brain so much, bro, that I was just
tough.
like and then they led, I feel like those seeds led into like us like feeling like how we feel about the podcast and seeing it as a route to basically further the music and incorporate our shit within it, because it was just someone who we already looked at as a goal on that level of being monolithic, like doing it, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like having that example of being like, all right, now I'm doing the show, and then boom, now my album's coming out, and like all this shit is playing into each other, like, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, it's the highest level of doing that, like,
yeah. And that producer with the long hair,
bro, and that's what I'm saying. Then I started watching documentaries of them making like because the internet and shit,
right?
And I was like, that fool Ludwig
was
remember
on
his
because
last name.
He was on because of the internet.
Yes, bro. He was there the whole. There's videos of them in that house that he
Wow.
rented at the stew, like him playing guitar and him right next to each other, like how we be, bro, like in the stew, engineering. And she'd be like, "Nah, I want to try it this way. I'm just like,
Wow.
damn, bro. Like
That's
those
dope.
fools crafted like multiple worlds, bro.
Right, yeah.
And then
real.
went on to do crazy shit like that. Fool started
Yeah.
working with the Black Panther soundtrack, all kind of different soundtracks, like.
Yep.
But like they kind of just did, like they really set out and did some shit that like a lot of people probably didn't believe in them to do.
Man,
and they did it
for
off
real.
the tip of kind of just like expanding themselves.
Yeah, off the strength of just doing it. Like,
Yeah.
that's hard.
That shit is crazy.
No, they're the like you were saying, like with Donald Glover, man, and Ludwig as well. Like they're both amazing producers, but Donald, like as just a multifaceted individual and like as a true artist, man, like that he's like someone who's definitely gonna go down like I think like in our history books of like creative levels, like when they're looking back on this era like he's definitely gonna be one of them names that gets mentioned.
Very true. He's a legend, and he's a legend in all those facets. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's wild.
it's so
everything.
wild.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything show writing episode. This used to be on fucking 30 Rock before he was popping, just writing episodes. So.
And doing stand-up comedy, like,
Yeah, dude, that made me think about I could possibly do that because I'm like, all right, it's the idea of your creativity and focusing it on something and
Right.
just seeing it through.
right, exactly.
You know, because he didn't do like a bunch of comedy. It was just like him, that one that I fucking love. Like,
right, yeah, like,
Is a classic one, honestly.
yeah, like
And then from that on to Community, like absolutely did, like being amazing in Community.
right. And how dope of him to not become a cornball amidst doing corny shit.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like to go from being a comic and an artist and on a TV show and like movies.
He definitely
You know what I'm
critiques
saying?
that and has pride in that. I've learned in his show, in the way he talks about Chance in the show and depicts him, where it's like he's like, I could have kept it a little more corny.
Right, yeah, exactly.
He's like, but I didn't though.
Right, yeah.
And he really depicts that well in the show. Cause he depicts like a character of Chance in the show, and like how he did the commercial shit. But it's weird because in real life, like he took him on tour. Like he took Chance on tour when he was coming up. And Chance credits him for that. You know what I'm saying? That's why they had like a little beef at a point in time, because people sometimes feel pretentious when you say shit like that or you get into shit like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or being like, bro, like I brought you on this shit like da 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 da. But Chance obviously at the time had mad endorsements and shit like that. He's like, but so like my dad fucking worked for Obama, nigga. Like I was good. Like you know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah,
pretty good. Like it was alright.
Right.
But I see how it gets into some shit like that. Of being
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it can. The ego. The ego
Yeah.
is big, man. Once you get some acclaim, or sometimes for people it's just say so power. You know what I'm saying? You get a little bit of that power hit, and you like, I can do what I want. I'm not gonna hear anything from anybody, and it's just, you know, sometimes people can't set their egos aside, and it'll cause a clash of egos, and that's always interesting to see fireworks.
I forgot who recently said that about, like, they were talking about Frank Ocean, and they're saying like, what did he say? I don't know who said it, but they're like, it's having to do it for like, you know, happiness and peace and shit like that. And they're like, you know, his advice on it was just like, it's like, well, you gotta be willing to make less money. And then the first one was like, oh nah, like that was their joke on it, but like that was his real response. Is just like, it's like, is that like, are you willing to just make less money than you make now?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the deeper question. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that fool, we don't see that fool, but he probably is suffering, taking more sacrifices than we think.
Oh yeah,
but
for
he's
sure.
probably gaining more in his mind from taking them sacrifices. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he describes in Siegfried, he's like, I got much more benefit in this. I probably don't have as much money as some of the other people that are more active as me.
Right.
But he's like, I'm richer in other ways.
Right, yeah, I mean, think about how long it was before he hit their asses over the head for that money off of Blonde. That's his most recent album, right? If I'm not tripping, right? That's his most recent album. Yeah. And up until that point,
because he's dropped like singles and shit since then, but no albums.
Right, yeah, and like up until that point, he was getting ate up by these record companies or whatever.
Yeah, because I forgot about that too. Because recently, speaking of vinyl, this fool had got me a dope vinyl from this fool, and I realized that back then he was signed to a label.
Yeah,
he came in signed to a label.
They was eating his ass up, and you think about, like, he wrote that to the left, everything you own.
He was writing at that time, bro.
I'm pretty sure that's Frank Ocean.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure too, because he had a Justin Bieber writing credit at that time too.
Yeah, you feel me? So like, it's no telling how much money he missed out on. You feel me? Working with these big ass artists when he wasn't who he is now. You know what I'm saying?
Or how much he missed out on to make the change to be the artist that he became.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, he's saying a lot of my peers wouldn't be willing to miss out on the money I had to miss to become the fool I had to become.
I mean, shit, most people wouldn't. That's why a lot of people get in the game and turn into something else. Like, you start you was doing this and doing that, and you believed in this and believed in that. Then you get in the game, and now you're a totally different artist. You know what I'm saying? Or you're portraying an image instead of being your fucking self. You know what I'm saying? They take that money, and then it's like, all right, well, I got to give up who I am for this chili, and I'm just trying to get to this chili. But with somebody like Frank Ocean or somebody like Childish Gambino, you know what I'm saying? You stick to the script, and it pays off. It might take a little while, but they stuck to the script and it paid off. But there's so many artists like that, like Tyler the fucking Creator, right?
Definitely.
I
in his regard.
did not fuck with Tyler when he first came out. When I saw him eating that fucking cockroach, or that cockroach was going in and out his mouth or whatever, and all that shit he was talking. But like, he stuck to the script, and now he has all this clothing shit. His albums are still Tyler the fucking Creator. He's producing all of his albums. He got DJ Drama on that bitch. Like, that's so fucking legendary. And he has this festival, like, by simply sticking to his own script. You know what I'm saying? And he lost a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Even with Our Future, Wolfgang killed him.
Even with Earl, like, him and Earl are cool, but it's not like, the shit isn't the same in sticking your route. And that was one of the bigger lessons I learned, that like, kind of get into that route, like a lot of shit had to kind of change to get to that route. And like you said, sacrifice.
And sacrifice
comes with a lot of that shit. And there's probably a lot of shit they gained. Like, bro, they had deals and endorsements then, but like everybody says, it's like, at what cost did they come? You know what I mean? They might be at the highest of heights, you know, having that Adult Swim show.
Woo, Loiter Squad was fucking hard.
But like, it probably wasn't at the same value that way he values the success he's having now. That he's kind of completely like in full control of it. You know what I'm saying? It's probably like, oh shit, this is the real shit I was just trying to attain.
Right, and
you know, it probably took him a few grind points of being like, damn, I gotta build the brand up to demand the money for my own shit. But like, he had to go through that.
I think a big part of it is, like you said, sticking to the script. And like, I feel like the script there is like going into it for the art, for the love of art, for wanting to get that aspect of it across. You have something you want to express, and you just needed to get it off in whatever way. And like, I feel like when people stick to that, then that's when like you get these artists that are able to stand the test of time and do this amazing stuff, like the Tyler the Creators, like the Donald Glovers, like, you know, the Kanyes, and like, you know. But then there's also, and I feel like this is the larger stem of like what music and art has become now, is like people see it as a way to make money off of it. And like, if you're coming into it for money, that's what you're gonna get, money. Cool. Like,
it's you gonna get the 9 to 5 out of it if you're looking for that. You know what I'm saying? If you're going into it looking for that, you'll get it. And like, for some artists, like, that's what they want, cool. Like, I get it, like, because money plays like this role in the world that we live in.
But I see what you're saying. Like, a lot of times what people go for, like, what they're trying to achieve in happiness has to do with what they like, that goal. You know what I mean? That they're using that as that, but they kind of are disappointed when they find out that, like, nah, like, you're going for it to get money, but you're also trying to put it in the same placeholder as, like, to get your happiness, to get your, you know, your other shit. Like,
if you're not, and I'm big on that. You feel me? Loving your fucking self. You know what I'm saying? If you're not happy, you cannot do this shit. You know what I'm saying? You can't do most things. I mean, you can get off a certain idea and a certain feel when you're not happy, of course. You know what I'm saying? But it's different to be able to be happy while you're doing shit that you love, because then you paint a totally different picture. You know what I'm saying? It can be perceived as a totally different thing in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have these artists like, what's his name? Lil Peep. R.I.P. You know what I'm saying? That documentary was fucking crazy though, but he was not happy. You know what I'm saying? And you could hear it in his music. And like, of course, his music was hard, and his image was tight, and people loved what he had to say, but he wasn't happy.
I definitely need to watch that one. I've seen the Juice WRLD one though.
I haven't seen that one.
And that one, it was similar to that one. Like, that reminded me of it, but I feel like that one just really like took me aback, bro. Because one, just similarities to me on the sense of freestyling, but deeper than what you said, like the amount of shit he was just going through and expressing through his music, and like just living.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just living through the shit he was just like dealing with, and just like I don't know, I just don't see too many people that have that much like faith in themselves to where it's almost like their life is surreal.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like, he almost believed himself to a surreal point where it's like none of this shit really mattered. It was just like, I'm just doing this shit, and like,
fact.
And he, like, you know, but I feel like certain people just they get in that groove like that, like Tupac. where they just
Right.
make like so many fucking songs
Man.
that their life is just like they're just living it. They
Yeah,
don't
that's-
really look past the moment,
Yeah, man.
you know.
Living right in the middle of it. Just
Like that
It's
shit
crazy.
is crazy. But that's how I saw in his documentary. It was just like him living like fully in the fucking moment, and it was just like, but in that moment you kind of question like, is this person happy in this moment?
yeah,
You
right.
know what I'm saying? Like I think they're
Right.
happy at the fact that they're not able to, or not, you know, trying to process it all. But like I don't know if if they tried to, they would be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's also interesting when you have these artists that are making these extremely sad songs and living some sort of, I guess, what anybody would call toxic or not healthy lifestyles, and like lacing these tracks, and there are people there that are hearing them and not taking in what they're saying. Like I have a friend that makes music. Shout out my guy MC Benji B. He was going through something emotionally, and I'll be sending him beats, so he'll hop on songs, so I'm used to hearing what he's talking about. You feel me? But then one song came through, you know what I'm saying, that I heard, and I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, okay, this hard, you feel me? I'm loving the beat already, I made the beat. But then I'm listening to the lyrics, and I'm loving it, what it's sounding like. But then I play it back a couple more times, and I'm like, gotta hit my guy, like, you good, bro? You feel me? I could hear in the lyrics specifically that you're going through something, you feel me? So like, I don't want to sit back and be the guy that heard you say something that I thought was a little out of character, or I shouldn't call it out of character, because emotions come and go, and it's all a part of what makes us, and it's a part of our character. But in the realm of, I'm a little sad from this, you know what I'm saying? I can hear it in your voice, I can hear it in your lyrics. So like, it's crazy to me to think that people that were around him all the time while he was blowing up weren't, you know, going out of their way to at least ask, you know what I'm saying, are you okay? I hear these sad ass lyrics and blah blah blah. Like, of course,
Yeah,
they make
that
their
is
own
shocking
decisions.
as fuck to think
Yeah.
that like his whole career was built off shit like that, and
Right.
no one around him was like,
Yo.
I did see some clips of that documentary, or no, never mind. I'm thinking of like parts of like, because both of them were fans of like McConaughey, and McConaughey was also in the Juice WRLD documentary, and parts where I'm like, he's kind of coming to them as an OG, but it's almost like I feel like some of them had the support of being like, yo, like, I support what you guys are doing, like, you know what I mean? I've
Facts,
been there.
yeah, people feeding into it and
but
shit.
they need the fools to be there to be like, yo,
Right.
are you good though?
Yeah,
like,
like-
you could possibly try some different shit. This may not last. But they
Man.
had a lot of other people around them that are kind of just like, hey, I know what this is like. I done been
Right.
this fool. Like, don't let nobody tell you to stop doing this shit.
Right.
Like,
And that young and dumb energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many people in the world were showing up to their shows and supporting that shit? When you're going number one, or your album is the top shit, and you're getting hundreds of millions of streams for spilling out that type of emotion, like, at some point you feed into it.
for real. Shout out to NBA Youngboy, bro. Like, for real. Like, I've heard a
Man.
lot about, like, how his shit is, like, he puts out all these songs and does the fucking crazy numbers, bro, but, like, sees zero of the numbers of YouTube, bro.
But what do you mean by that?
Well, essentially, I want to sure, like, he signed a label deal, right? And then he got locked up, and then he was
Right.
locked up for some serious shit, but essentially he got out, and he got out under the guise of his label basically bailing him out, and,
Oh, of
and
course.
moving him to like another area where he's basically like locked up to just make music for them, and like he can basically, you know what I'm saying, like he generates so much so that's how they do it, but he doesn't get to see many of it because a lot of it he's paying back just to be out of jail and
Man.
just living making music. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if that's the explicit case,
I mean, I
that
feel like,
makes sense.
that does make sense,
mean,
but I feel
in a
bad.
way,
In a way, like, I do feel bad, though. I don't feel like he deserves that, if you will. Like, the crime for me is not something where I put on him where I'm like, damn, like, fuck it, you should just pay it back. I feel like they really, like he should be able to, like, the couple million and shit that he's doing, I feel like he shouldn't be locked into paying them forever. I think, you know, people take advantage of the manipulative situation you get in. The
It's
same
true.
shit with Tupac and Suge. That's
Yeah,
how they got
exactly.
into it.
I was gonna say
that's
that.
one of
That's
those
that Tupac
age-old
situation
stories
right
of
there,
like where
yeah.
he was in jail, Suge came to him, got him out, and everybody's like, "Well, he got you out."
Well, what you got to think about
But that
it.
shit really fucked his life
You
up.
choose.
Like that decision,
You
and
gotta
that is
make
your
that
own decision.
decision.
That's the part where people lie. It's like it's your
what
decision,
I'm saying?
but I just feel like when you make that decision, the person who comes and praising you in that vulnerable position, I kind of look at them a little funny.
Oh yeah, now they're,
You know what I mean?
That's
Whether it's
fuckery.
the label or
Yeah.
it's whoever it is, like whoever comes in and is like, nigga, I know you got no choice.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's slimy. Big time slimy.
No, it is. It is. But like, I will say in this situation for like the NBA YoungBoy thing, it's hard to know their contract details.
Facts.
So like, it's hard to say that like, because like if the conversation comes down like, hey, look, we'll get you out, but you're gonna have to repay like it's basically like a bail bond. You know what I mean?
I think it's deeper than that though. That it's like they collected bigger as much interest as they wanted to on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so where it's not just paying back to where it's like, nigga, I could add in however much interest I want to on this because I don't got to give it to you.
I mean, but also like we can't neglect the fact that you're NBA YoungBoy, my guy. Like you're him. You're actually him. So stop fucking up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I remember being a kid, getting in trouble, getting my ass beat, and going, like, I do not like getting my ass beat.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna try to cut back on the fuckery. Like, you know what I'm saying? Of course,
like, there's a certain sense of self-responsibility like people have to have about each other. I don't neglect that, but I definitely someone who really understands like the idea of being in like, you know, just environmental situations.
Yeah,
and, like,
facts. That's
and
a
certain
big part.
music really reflects that.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
His music is one of those musics that's almost like reflects the music of like poverty, like being in
that's very true.
Situation.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like the face of that shit.
Yeah,
like.
that's true. Yeah, man.
I think a big part of the exploitation of it, like you say, YoungBoy is YoungBoy.
Right.
He that guy. Like he like so, and I feel like I'm sure he knows how much he's like his value is like as an individual, but I feel like that's a lot of times is where people, when they get into these contract deals, they don't understand the more that they can bring to the table. So they see a certain contract and they see it as an only option. They see it as like, oh, there is no other choice, because they don't stop to consider other choices.
No, that's deep. Because that's where the Suge option almost looks like a beneficial option.
Right.
Because you could hold out off the other fools. There's probably a couple other fools that came to pot on some funny bunny shit.
On everything.
But he was probably like, the only people I'ma really trust is this kind of independent street label that, you know what I'm saying, in the sense of someone else could come around for your value if your value is that high. that probably does have a better interest in you, even though the person, like, you know, like they do, is gonna make you feel like this is your only option. You got to take this deal because they probably connected with the jail. They probably pressuring them like, they not connected with them. They can't get you out of this.
And I mean, shit.
They got money, but like, are they tapped in? You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, and I get it, and like, not to discount.
But no,
like,
I'm thinking your point of like waiting it out. You could end up linking with that fool that maybe is still on that same spectrum, but it's still like outside of that system. You know what I'm saying?
You just never know. Like they're in jail. You feel me? I've never been in jail.
That's true.
You feel me?
Fuck yeah,
so like, if I'm in jail,
whatever way out might, like, your brain might settle into survival mode, and whatever's the way out, I'm out.
I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. So like, it's just the situation. Like, you know what I'm saying? Of course,
like if there's an out in front of me, my brain might not literally let me not take that.
Right, like, come on,
if
be
certain
rapping,
shit has happened to me in there, like I might just be like, it's over with.
But like, this is where I lie with it though, and like I agree with that. But if the situation was like just a bail that needed to be paid, like there's other, and this
what
is
if just strings pulled on getting out outside of just the legal money? What if it's strings pulled?
Yeah, okay, well then
I think that's a lot.
That's when it gets into the other conversation, because then I understand that, and then that's what I was gonna try to say is like, and not to discount the possibility of someone being exploitative, like, because there is these situations where like an artist like that, maybe because the fact that they're locked up and they have no other ways of getting stuff out, or like other means of getting out,
their talent maybe leading them to the strings being pulled,
whatever it may be. Exactly. So like with that, like that, I could see that being like
that's an ill shit though. I'm not gonna lie though, in time in life, that's still some ill shit, like that your talent could really have that much pull.
But that's what I mean. But what I was gonna get at,
to just alter your life situation, to the fact that this motherfucker's in Nebraska just making music in a house, locked up in house arrest.
Oh, was the nigga on house arrest?
Well, yeah, but that's why though. Like he's forced to be on that in another state. Like he can't go no other states other than like the state that they put him in. Type
Okay,
shit.
well that's a little different. I've been around some people that's been on house arrest. So
yeah,
like,
it's not like
if
he's
he
at
on-
his house though. That's the fucked up part. It's not like his
Well,
house.
I mean, the
He
nigga
Airbnb-ing
was.
it.
That's
yeah,
because,
it's not like his pad. It's a pad that they got him in.
that's because where he was at though, like
Yeah,
he
that's
was
why they don't-
bound
yeah,
to get
they
in
don't
some
want him
more
to-
fuckery.
yeah,
You
that's
know what
the
I'm
part of
saying?
the rules.
He's a young guy.
Yeah. A part
out
of their
there
rules
getting
is
to
like
it.
if he goes to, they can't have him in the area that he was at. Like it's like you gotta
okay.
be
Okay, I mean,
in just some other area, which
I
is
feel
for his
it.
own
They-
good.
Yeah, it's for his own good. Like
I mean, he's just there
still
making
getting
music,
that.
being
He's-
productive and shit. So I feel that like that's one thing I was gonna say. Also, is what do you guys think about shit? His fucking fan base that is the Call of Duty people. Like, have you ever heard of that? If you guys
Nah.
haven't, I'll let you know. So,
No, yeah, I'm not hip.
So the reason why he does these group numbers and shit, a big part of the reason why he does these numbers is a big part of like these communities, these online communities like Reddit and like Twitter, like they like champion the fuck out of his music and play his music. Like mainly the Call
Right,
of
I
Duty,
can imagine.
mainly the Call of Duty communities. Like it
Right.
became like viral within that as far as like the music they listen to and they play and like and they make jokes about this shit like
Right.
about NBA YoungBoy and shit like that. Like literally like. That shit is a meme like all the time, bro. And like I'm not that much into him, but like I know that that's the community, and that's why his shit is so big because I know that community is huge, right?
Man.
And it's another community I'm not a part of. So it's like it made sense to me. I'm like how that plays into his role and his kind of like ever present role within the internet.
That marketing.
Like his streaming numbers compare with the bigger people because of that reason. Because
Right.
he's like. In a weird zeitgeist of the internet, the same way we talk about JPEG, like a lot of times where he was able to get to that zeitgeist of the internet where it's like, why do all these people always pull up? Like, where do they come from? You know what I mean? It's the same shit with NBA, where like, why do all these people randomly always pull up? Like, he just somehow got a grip hold over like this group of people that just, because essentially, unfortunately, a lot of times people on the Call of Duty shit want to be wild and say a lot of wild shit.
Yeah, of
You're known
course.
to get a lot of wild opinions and takes and shit,
Yeah.
and then they champion the fact that this fool's a ruthless type of person.
Right,
And they're
right.
just like, nah, this is our theme shit. Like, you know what I'm
I
saying?
feel
Like,
because
this
when I'm
is
on
like-
when I'm on Warzone, I'm for sure NBA YoungBoy challenge.
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the vibe you in. Like,
Thank
you like,
you,
I'm
yeah.
young boy right now.
That's
like,
hilarious. That's hilarious.
That's funny. That's funny. But I mean, within that, that's what I was kind of trying to get at. Like, when you have that kind of notoriety and you have those kind of numbers also being pulled in, which also comes not only to just notoriety but also like income flow. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, if it's just like a matter of like you getting bailed out and the conditions of you getting bailed out is like, okay, you paying back this loan and this is how you decide
That's
to
not
pay
that
back the
bad.
loan. Like, and I feel like that's also like with some contract deals, like what it comes down to, like 95% of contracts are just straight out loans. Like, and so
he's
like,
in a good
it's very
position to pay
true.
back the loan, which is why I feel like it's hard in a way because he pulls in those numbers. So if it does work the way it's intended to work, he should just be able to keep pulling their numbers, and eventually he should be able to own it. But I
Right.
think, unfortunately, there's rumors that they locked in some shit on his shit, where they do with most people's contracts. Where while it's said that it has something to do with that it don't have nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
it
I'm
has
very
more so to
curious
just
as
what you
to the
agreed with.
contract details.
You know what I'm saying?
and what
Because a lot of
he is.
times it has to do with just what you agreed with.
No,
You know, and if you agreed to some fuck shit,
you're out.
yeah, you agreed to some fuck shit.
Yeah.
that's crazy though. That's crazy.
But shit, I think we should get to life affirmations segment, my G's.
At that time.
So, life affirmation segment, we talk about one thing that we look at differently in the past month or year or week or tomorrow, bro. Anything really. It's just kind of just like a way you say I used to look at this way and
Okay.
now look at it this way. So, I think for me, I'm probably gonna go with this week. I think this is an interesting one. I would say I feel like this is a weird one for me, but I'm gonna talk about like dabbing, cause
Like-
it's a random ass topic. Like like taking a dab. Like
Oh, okay,
a blast.
okay,
'Cause
okay.
I don't really dab. I'm not like a dab person like
Okay,
that.
okay.
But randomly, this is like one funny. It's like someone, like a random person I never met, just gave me a bunch of what. And like it was really random, but I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this. Like
Right.
I'll just smoke tree. Like shit, I don't relax, but. I don't know, like it just I feel like I had a reflection on this is kind of a silly one. Usually these shits are more deep, but I feel like this shit is deeper to my life in the sense that like it just literally happened, you know what I mean? That
Right.
I felt like I understood the concept of how people like for years people would say like, you know, in comparison they'd be like, yo, this is more cleaner, or this feels more, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I used to just be like, I kind of didn't feel that. I was like, nah, for me, I just want like a tiny bit of marijuana, like, you feel me? Like, I feel like that's more clean in a sense than this. But I feel like, all in all, I don't know, I just felt like maybe in this experience, I just felt like that depending on the kind of wax you get, like if you got like expensive shit, I feel like I understand what those people were getting at, like how like it can be somewhat clearer in feeling. For me, I think that just in my memory, I was just young, and like I remember it in just such a like not like healthy sense.
That dab,
you know what I'm saying?
Shit.
Like I just wasn't an adult
Crazy.
with like bands dabbing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like now it's like old ass people like with like money getting like the best equipment in the world and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that perspective on it is what changes people's, that's my affirmation, that like that perspective on it is what changes people's view of it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the ability to do it at like a higher level, if you will, that like allows it to be a cleaner sense than like a marijuana or something I get for some other people. You know what I'm saying? So I never really understood that. For me, I was just an all natural kind of person. I'm like, shit, if you doing too much scientific shit, it seemed like it's not for
extra,
me.
like, just trying to roll the joint up, you know what I mean?
But that's just, it made me think about it this week, because fate, someone just randomly jammed Metro X up the blue, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, made me just think about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't have thought about it without that dude.
No, wax is one of those wild things where I feel like, even though it is still THC, and it's like, it's just like, like the breakdown, you know what I mean? Like they put it in like a solvent and then just evaporate the solvent, and what's left is like, that's that, and it's just like the purest that. I feel like that always was like like the thing that held me back. The only reason like I got into dabbing for like a cool minute was because of the smell, and like I just didn't want to smell all the time.
Man, thank you. I feel that.
You know, it was just like it's gonna. And
some people have like pens and shit like that. This is why you used to go to like a kid's soccer game, you gonna see an adult with a wax pen.
Yeah,
because they can't smell.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And the kids are stressful.
But I will say my experience, I got into a point where like I started like doing dabs a lot as a result of that time frame, and so like in that like my tolerance shot up like this.
Facts.
And like on top of like my tolerance, I started getting like a lot sicker during that time. Like I honestly, like I'd be lying if I said that like weed had no negative side effects in my life, because I've definitely had like a lot of like episodes here and there of like weed poisoning, of like, you know, it's just too much, like,
yeah, well, you just, it's like taking too much of it in a way.
Exactly. And like dabs were like the moments where like I hit that kind of,
I feel that, because that's why I haven't dabbed a lot, like consistently, but I feel like I always felt like that, if you will, like just close to that, and never I would dab usually. But that's why later on I felt different, like recently, because I was like, well, maybe that's because of the shit I was using. I was just like really like not like trying to go above and beyond to get some gas shit. Like I just felt like this shit is so strong, like why would I get, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't I just need the least amount?
Right, I feel that.
I still fuck with dabs.
There was one point where I was taking dabs, and they're too much for me, low key. Right? Like they're too much for me. Like they you hit one dab, you're done for the day.
Well,
that's
Action
how I
Bronson
feel like.
makes it look too easy, man.
Yeah, well, Action Bronson is a fucking packhead.
You know what I'm saying? Like they make it look too fucking simple on that Fuck Delicious show,
right? But like I had a moment where I was also like dabbing heavy. So instead of smoking real weed, just taking dabs.
Did you make music at all at this time inside the home studio?
For sure.
See,
definitely.
That's what he was doing.
Definitely.
I feel like it calls for that. Like.
Yeah, like I mean, but also with COVID, like 2 years almost, or like all that time you're indoors. Like,
and you don't want to smell, you don't want to go nowhere.
Nah, but not even that. Like I wasn't doing anything.
Oh, I feel that.
So I'm getting high. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm bored. I'm gonna get loaded. I'm just happening to be an artist as well. You know what I'm saying? But like the dabbing would take me out sometimes. So I'm like, I'm in this twilight of the dab. Like it's too strong for me. Like I'd rather just
exactly. That's what I came to my conclusion with that. That was my past conclusion on it, was that it's just too strong for me in general. Like I don't need to be, like I don't need to take that long to come back down.
Right, yeah, that's what I felt like. The come down is all damn day. I'm like, nah, like I need to be able to function in 4 hours at least.
Yeah, like literally
you know what I'm saying?
These next 2 hours, the shit just be done.
Yeah, like I can't be doing this and just sitting here all day. I'm high and just feeling crazy.
And sometimes for me, shit, it's like I won't really realize I was down lit until like that 4th, 5th hour later.
Right, yeah.
When I'm coming down and I'm like, whoa, I was lit.
Where did the time just go? Like, oh my goodness.
And I'm like, I hate that feeling. I'm like, why didn't you realize you were lit for the past 5 hours?
Right, because you were lit. Like, okay. Man,
That's funny.
All right, what about you?
I feel like you guys might be able to kind of relate or at least talk on this a little bit. I was having a conversation recently with someone about we were talking about a certain individual, right? And this person was saying how much they kind of despise this individual, and I was like, I get it where they're coming from. I was like, but what do you think about this quote? And then because we were talking about like what did this person, like a conversation that this person had between another person, and like I was like, what do you think about this quote?
Was it Skeet that they despised?
No, they decided it was Kanye actually.
I knew it was Skeet or Kanye though.
But
I knew that
Kanye?
I knew it was one of those two that they despised.
I was trying to dance around without like.
You didn't dance well. I knew it. I knew it was. I knew it had to be one of them.
Hey, I didn't know. I thought the dancing was okay.
But it was in that conversation, like it was the certain tweet where Kanye put at the very end, he's like, I can afford to hurt you.
Cause I got a lot of
Skeet.
Cause I got a lot of opinions on those last exchanges.
Yo,
buddy.
that's hilarious, bro. I didn't realize you were talking about Pete Davidson.
I was saying Skeet. I was trying to say.
Yo, that's hilarious.
I mean, like that whole conversation
Well,
aside.
because anybody saying they despise anybody, I'm automatically thinking Skeet.
Okay, I feel that.
This person
Or
was
Kanye.
This person was more against like on Kanye.
or
So it was, but me, I was trying to ask the person because I was like, well, what was your opinion on this line? I was like, because I was like, one thing with Kanye, I was like, I understand if you don't like him for certain things. I totally get it. You know what I mean? Because no one has to like anyone else for any reason. You know what I mean? Like you can't force someone to be like, nah, you have to like this person.
Right.
But within that, when you read a book and you see a quote, do you go and you start questioning the author immediately and be like, well, what did this author stand for when they said this quote?
No, you usually read the whole book.
You read the whole book, or you like, but like when you interpret that quote, like when you're getting something from that moment, that like, or even like a lyric. And what I was getting at is that bar of like that what he had said at the end of that tweet. But the point being, I was like separating word, like art from the artist, kind of, and like separating what someone says from who they are. And I was like not acknowledging this conversation of like what's going on between Kanye and Pete Davidson at the moment. Like ignoring that situation, like what is just that, like that phrase, like that quote that he said at the end, I can afford to hurt you. I was like, that's just some crazy real shit. I was like, that is something that like, and like at first the person I was talking to was like, they're like, what do you mean? I was like, they're speaking on reality. They're speaking on like, there's this thing of like, there's certain things that people just go left unsaid, and then like that's that. But like Kanye is one of those people that has this ability to kind of just speak truth, or just kind of like peel back a layer of like society that like people don't want to see sometimes, and like it kind of gets ignored by like all this other extra shit that's going on.
True.
But like that, like certain things, certain bars, certain like things just come across and like they hit and they touch reality in like a certain way, and it's just kind of like, can we like forget who said it and just talk about what has been said?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if this was your uncle or somebody else saying this that you just knew in your family,
Exactly.
you probably wouldn't look at it the same way. You probably would take it
Right.
with a little more credence to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that, like
Well, my
with
thoughts on
bars and like.
Well, my thoughts on
lyrics and
that, I feel
artists.
like I already had some thoughts on that, because like when I saw that, I had some contemplations about that, and it was similar to what you're saying. Like I almost felt like, how do I say, like, there's certain people that are in certain positions that can, like, I don't want to say teach certain people lessons, but like make examples out of certain people if they choose to. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like that about Kanye and Skeet in the way that Skeet was talking to Kanye, and he hit him up. He said, "Yo, it's Skeet," and then he was hitting them on nerves. And trust me, I'm a very familiar person with striking people in like nerves and pinpoints. Like I know like what trigger points can do to people, especially like people that are manic. And I guess all in all, I could sum this up to say that sometimes I could get hate for this, but I don't care. The people sometimes, like, the thing that girls do when they like sometimes like maneuver like out of a relationship and they get to like a bigger dude and they be like, nah, like my nigga will beat you up now, like the new nigga I'm with.
Yeah,
that's a thing. That's been a thing.
No,
in
that's
life.
For sure a
in
thing.
life.
That's,
you know what I mean? Where it's like
doubt.
you're not dealing with this dude. It's like I'm gonna just get with this dude. He's bigger than him.
Right.
I don't gotta worry about
to
shit
prove
now.
A point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I had a lot of thoughts about this. I had a lot of thoughts about how this has been a thing in life, and that this is the one time when it backfires. When the nigga is crazy enough and has enough money.
Well, I mean, but
because now I'm gonna add that to it because
one,
he's off enough to take it to places you want to take, and he has enough money to take it to those places, and that's the fact that he's speaking on that people want to ignore a lot of times in life. But there's certain people that are just off enough to take things to a level that your sane brain may not even fathom that it can get taken. You sit and try to talk sane with language with them, and they're like, bro, when have I ever been on sane time?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when have I ever been on like reasonable time? Like, I got way more money than to be on reasonable time. I could do whatever the fuck I literally want. You think you are fucking with me?
I mean, that's
and I don't really defame people that have earned their way to that point. I don't feel like if you've earned your way to that point off of like, as long as it wasn't on no fucking just stepping on people's back shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he didn't get off. We seen the doc. It wasn't off that.
Yeah.
It was off his life.
I think it's just
it was off bearing that shit in his life. Like, I think he done went through certain cuts and bruises that where I'm like, I guess there's an opinion thing. This is where I get at.
Yeah,
there's a difference of opinion on Pete's side where I agree with him in the sense of being mature, right? Like, sometimes you gotta be mature about shit in life, right? You know what I'm saying? And niggas are gonna push your button. You know what I'm saying? Niggas are gonna push your buttons and you gotta be like the bigger person. But I've always been on the side of sometimes though, people use that narrative against you, especially in today's society.
Yes.
And they try to silence your opinion based on that regard. Like, to say that, well, if you keep acting like this, we're going to make you out to be this way, and we're going to put that pressure on you that you're going to make this decision. Like, you're going to either keep making yourself, keep digging this hole for yourself, or I'm going to keep posturing. It's just posturing. You feel me? Like, people posturing this way, somebody posturing this way. And that's the bullshit I feel like you're referencing, where all that posturing is one thing, but I feel like one thing I've noticed in a lot of things Kanye's saying is kind of getting away from posturing and getting more to just statements. To just being like, all right, meet me here. You know, it's like, all right, come here.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna
just
be
like,
here. So you gotta
like, I'm not gonna
here.
say much more words than like what needs to be said, because I feel like when you have a certain amount of like, how do you say, just reach and pull and feeling towards that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the deeper part about it, because you could just have a bunch of reach and pull and shit and just not give a fuck. Because certain shit's beneath you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you're at a certain point, you're probably just like, I don't need to fucking worry about everybody talking shit about me. But your family, your kids tends to move people to like a different level that I think people sometimes in society are just like maybe forget or unaware of. And I'm like, bro, have you never seen nobody like fight over their family? You ever seen Baby Boy?
Right, thank you. Classic, fighting over the family. I think it's just weird though at the fact of who they are. You know what I'm saying? Why the fuck are we so invested in Kanye and Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson? Why the fuck are we so involved in their lives? Like, on that tip, we know Kim Kardashian for being this mega star, famous personality, and I guess like her fame came from being involved heavily with the family and shit.
I think that contrast is why. I think it's a societal conversation.
That's so fucking weird, bro.
I think that's the contrast why though. The contrast why being her being plugged in and having the amount of pull, and anybody going against that and directing force against that and being able to. You see what I'm saying? Because who's been able, like, look at Lamar Odom, look at everybody else who's been able to direct,
to survive it.
survive it and direct energy against.
Right. That's facts.
You know what I'm saying? Most fools have just ducked out the way of them and been like, shit, I don't want no smoke.
Remember
like
Humphreys, what's his name?
Yeah, the homie that was in the bucket, he ducked all the smoke. He got played by her. All. He was like, I'm just good. I took my L, I'm out.
But he also got Kim Kardashian. Like, she was Kim Kardashian, but she wasn't like the head of all of the most famous people or the most famous family in the world. I mean, like, Kylie is Kylie now.
Yeah.
Kendall's Kendall now. Even the kids are like, have their own things. You know what I'm saying? In a way. You know what I'm saying? So like, Kanye got the most famous version of Kim Kardashian, and then also helped turn that family into more than what they were.
And that's his biggest shit on them point is that like, I added a lot of cultural value sauce in it, and he's like, I can turn this shit against you.
Yeah, like, don't play me. But it's just I'm really big on like on not like, I don't even know exactly how to put into words, but I think it's so weird
just
that
not investing in shit like that. I
don't really invest a lot of, you know what I'm saying, in my mind into that, because I don't get why it matters in a way. You know what I'm saying? I get why it matters to a certain degree. But like, Kanye and Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson's lives and their arguments and all of that, like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying, in a way? Like, not to discredit what it is or whatever, but like, I feel as though I don't need to be
like just
invested in it, because I fuck with Kanye for his music, and I'm not gonna let him slide on all the weird shit that he says, because I will hold him to that. You gotta hold that man to everything he says, even if it's weird or not weird. But like, I think like me being invested in his family's life, or like even if Kylie and Travis with Stormy, or
I feel like I care less about them, weirdly. I don't know why, but
that makes sense. Kanye.
I think it has a lot to do with just what people stand for me. I feel like I've always been that kind of person. Okay. Like, that's why I've been like a big Cudi fan. He's probably my favorite artist. Okay. Right?
I just got my put on the Cudi low key. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I have friends where like they never really were into them specifically, but like, bro, like, that was one of my first favorite artists when I was like 13, and it had a lot to do with just my draw to what people stand for, because I was familiar with music. You know what I mean? But like, in picking my first favorite artist, I think I picked that based on the themes in their music standing for what I stood for. You know
how you feel about the Kanye Cudi shit though? Like, them not fucking with each other no more.
Hey, bro, no, you can't be on my mama album. You know what I'm saying? I don't. That's where I lie on it. Like, I'm a diehard Cudi fan, but I'm also a diehard what I stand for fan.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I think that's where my real line is. Like, I'm very a fan of people standing for shit I stand for, and when I see it in real life, I'm just like, keep going. How long can this last?
Right.
Because you just don't see much of. Sometimes, like Kid Cudi, you just don't see much of certain archetypes that are like, this is what I'm thinking.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is how I would go about this. And sometimes you just like, especially people that are in the minority of those thoughts, sometimes they just feel like, damn, like, it's only a couple people in the world that reflect this, or have the ability to reflect this and show it on a high level. Because a lot of people could think some crazy shit, like you said, we'll hold people to shit they say, but a lot of people will say some shit and we don't even give a fuck to hold them to the shit they say, because we don't care what they say.
Right. That's
true. You know what I'm saying? Like,
very true.
It's almost like people standing for whatever the fuck they stand for on that level, I respect a lot of times to a degree. Whether I agree with some of the shit they stand for or not, I feel like I just go about that myself. I'm like, all right, I ain't agree with that, but I agree with this. But there's parts about it that I did agree with, and them standing up for it in the light is just like, it always impacted me. I don't know, like, it always felt like, it always shifted culture for me, because I feel like, wow, we shouldn't give a fuck. People do. People are sheep, bro.
Right, yeah, which is crazy.
The culture. Like, whether if I don't give a fuck or not.
Right.
These are influential figures that are probably going to still shift the culture.
It's just crazy, man. It's nuts. I like the way you're thinking about it, though.
That's the trippy part for me.
It's like you said, you got to hold him accountable for what he says, but he says so much, and he says it like in these forums that it's just like,
it's just impact I'm looking at now.
Exactly. Like,
I'm looking at it and told now, like, what is, like, how is this impacting the world? Like, in some shit I'm like, nah, that's not giving us good. But some shit I'm like, okay, like, I see how this is helping the mindset of people.
It's like something.
Yeah, I feel that.
Within that, speaking on how you speak perfectly on like how big of a figurehead both Kim and Kanye are. I was actually just having this literally right after we had the conversation of that, it turned into this conversation of like, why do we care? Like, they're so big. And I'm like, it's crazy that for whatever reason, like, people need to have like their media attention on some whatever, right? And I was like, but having said that, you have these two biggest media stars right now, right? What happens when these kids grow up?
True.
Ooh, I remember we were
True
talking
that.
about that once.
Think
Right?
about like Michael Jackson's kids though. Michael Jackson's kids like kind of, but Michael Jackson's kids are not Stormy and I don't even know kids.
Who was even like the mother of Michael Jackson's kids? I'm sorry, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you off the
gotta
top.
be a
I don't remember.
diehard. I don't remember either. And I'm a diehard
I'm
Michael
pretty
Jackson
young too,
fan.
so like when he had his kids, I only remember him dangling them off the shit. Like,
Right.
like literally, like I'm so young that
Right.
like that's all I
And you don't
remember
even-
about them.
And
Like,
it's crazy. He probably wouldn't even recognize his kids in public,
Right?
just walking around, unless they're doing like unnecessary rich
I
shit.
think I just seen some shit on one, like it was like a clip of like this fool grown or some shit, and then in my life it didn't look nothing
Oh,
like
God,
it.
huh?
Like it looked
who the fuck
confusing.
is
Like who
that
the fuck
kid?
is that?
Blanket?
Like,
Is that you?
and I kind of in my head I'm like that is the fool, but like it was because there was a picture saying this is the kid that he like
Right,
dangled
yeah,
over the shit.
I think his name was Blanket.
And it was him grown. Like I was like, damn, this is you, my nigga. Like you grown now. Like
Yeah.
But it's some real shit though. Like growing up with these like, you know, superstar parents and being, because many folks that live this life are just kind of go under the radar.
Nah,
but
that's
there's
gonna be the next world, bro. It's gonna be
these-
so weird. They're gonna have their own shows and shit. They're gonna have like their own. They're gonna be like people in this motherfucker.
My kid's gonna be watching that weird shit.
Bro,
So
they're gonna
I
be
need to go
watching
watch some
Story and
documentaries.
like North and all this crazy shit, bro.
I need to watch documentaries. Stop playing with me.
I know watching North's gonna drop a song and he gonna be trying to tell your daughter not to listen to North.
I mean, like, nah, a movie like Kanye produced that shit. Play that shit back.
you have to be the new Jaden.
Yeah.
Jaden's music was kind of trash, though. I ain't gonna lie.
When he first
had
came,
some hard
he
ones.
definitely had some
Yeah,
rough
I mean, he
points,
had
though.
that. He had the one from. Oh no! You know what? I would like to take that statement back.
I'm not.
Jaden's fucking hard.
Nah,
I don't know what I was thinking
You
about.
are speaking on like some shit though that like existed in his career though. Like he
Can't
did
believe I
have
said
some
that.
rough points in his career. Like I'm not gonna like people tried to ignore them because of the fire points he had later in his career.
Right.
But we
Early
could
on.
keep it
That
real.
early
We could
shit?
keep it real.
Okay,
bro.
nah, that
he
early
didn't,
shit.
he didn't hit that stride until later on.
That
Like,
early shit was boo boo.
Yeah, he didn't
Except
hit
that
those.
one
He
that
did
he
not
did
hit
with
that
JB.
stride
The
till
one he did
later
with
on.
JB was hard. The one that he
That
did
was the
over
that was,
Kid.
that was the one breakout song.
Me.
You hit on the money. That was the one breakout song of his era in that era.
That
like,
all that other shit was boo boo though.
facts.
I ain't
Until
gonna
he
lie.
was like got older, started making adult music, and it
And
was
he
like
got-
now you're guys.
Yeah. It almost slipped my mind how hard he is now.
It's
But
because
like,
it was such a change.
Yeah,
it was
it
such
was.
a
It was
transition
very
to like a
dramatic.
whole new identity. Like,
wow. Did you know that Will Smith won the first hip hop Grammy?
yeah, I heard about that one.
Which is fucking crazy. Will Smith?
Right? Like people wouldn't put
That's
him on
pretty
like the
late.
top thing or whatever, right? And in Grammys, like,
Yes.
But it had to do with the way they registered the idea of
True.
commercial music and
True
shit,
that.
bro. Like they weren't the way the Grammys are, bro. Like Grammys
that's
be
that
on some
that's that
bullshit.
bullshit.
So basically, for them to consider some hip hop shit real art at the time, it had to be some shit that was crossing over.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Will
true
Smith
that.
was the first crossover act.
He the first light skin.
You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah,
first fool that was like rapping that was also accepted
Yeah.
by white people, so that's why he won the first Grammy.
Man.
Steve, that's true though.
And then they started realizing how fucked up it was as the years went on, so I gave more rap Grammys.
Yeah, I mean, because
And then eventually they realized y'all way behind in this shit and just
Way
said, fuck it,
behind.
we out.
Yeah, for real. For real.
That's wild though. But what about you, man? What you been thinking on?
I think I can kind of relate to your point. Today I was listening to the Joe Rogan Experience. I be listening to that shit all the time, and he had these two guests on there, and one of them specifically, I wish I could remember his name. It might be like Danny or something like that. I'll have to look it up. But as I was listening to the podcast, he started talking about how he converts KKK members. Like he's a black dude that goes and talks to
I've seen this guy before,
Yeah, you
yeah.
feel me? He's it's crazy hearing what he talks about. Like he will go and sit down with these KKK members or neo-Nazis or any of those hate group, et cetera, and he'll convert them from what they believe into going on tours with him and standing on stage and going like, nah, fuck the KKK, fuck the neo-Nazi.
Is he on
like,
some like motivational speaker shit?
Not really, bro. So like how he was explaining it is he would go meet with these dragons or whatever the fuck they call them. They have crazy names when they're like the top people in these organizations, and he'll sit down with them like how we're having a discourse right now, and they'll sit there and he'll ask them like, why do you hate me? You just met me. What is it about me that you hate? And then they'll go off into like, well, black people are statistically more prone to committing crimes. You know what I'm saying? And then, so he just called him a criminal. And then he's like, well, black people are also not as smart because their brains are smaller. You know what I'm saying? So then he'll say that. Or like, black kids do worse on their SATs than white kids in schools. You know what I'm saying? So he just insulted him and said all these things. But the way that he combats that is he will sit there and let him spew everything out. You know what I'm saying? You let the car run into the wall. You know what I'm saying? So he'll let that happen, and then he'll start to respond in ways that don't feel, I guess, chaotic or defensive in a way, or offensive, because you know most people, if you say something disrespectful to them, like if I was to call one of you guys dumb, you know what I'm saying, your initial reaction would probably be to go, you're dumb, or this is why I'm not dumb and this is why you're dumb. You know what I'm saying? But he combats it by not going back at them with stuff like that. Like he'll come at it in a more patient and tempered like way, and it leads to those people maybe not changing right now. Like he's not hungry for these people's minds to change in that moment, but what he does is he starts these wheels turning in their head.
Plants the seed.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so now when they get home, they're sitting there thinking like they gotta go tell their wives like, you know what, I just had a conversation with a black man for 3 hours and he didn't try to bite my fucking head off.
Like more so he provokes them mentally in the conversation,
right,
to the point where that conversation and their experience of them just sits in and changes how they feel about like people inherently, because he's there and they're like, damn, that fool I met was like changed our life.
Like what was the example he gave? He gave the perfect example. He said he was in the car with one of these guys, and the guy said black people are more violent by nature. And he said, okay, what makes you say that? And he said, well, black people commit black on black crime in these neighborhoods and they're killing each other all the time, right? And he said, wait, no, he said it was something akin to that, but he called him something specific. He said, you're this thing. And he said, why do you think I'm this thing? And he gave him an example. And it was on some like, you're a killer shit, or you're like more violent, and et cetera, et cetera. So then he said, so that means that white people are, like, this was his combative to it without being extra. He was like, so that means that white people are more prone to being serial killers. So he said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, name me a black serial killer. You feel me? Just one. He said, just give me one. You know what I'm saying? He said, you know what? I'll give you one. So he named one. And then he said, now you give me two instead of three. You know what I'm saying? So he traded off. And then he started naming all of these white serial killers, or et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? However many names there are. And then he said, so since you're white, that means that you're a serial killer. And the guy goes, well, I've never killed anybody in my life.
And the other guy's like, neither have I. Shit.
You feel me? And he's like, well, I didn't do any of those things that you described either, so that doesn't make me that. And then he said that they sat in the car and it got real silent, extremely silent. And then he changed the conversation. And after that, I don't remember how much longer he said it was after that, that same guy gave him his KKK outfit. Like, take this from me, I don't want it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it was just that simple, silly conversation that they had that changed that guy's perspective on the way that he was thinking. But it led me to think, like, a lot of the times you have to really let people get out what they're thinking in their heads, because a lot of the times with the way society is now, we just meet people with aggression. So we go head on, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it doesn't really do anything but create this friction in between each other that doesn't help us have a meaningful conversation, or at least be able to think things out and give each other the chance to spew things out. No, I don't always want to hear what this extreme case, being a neo-Nazi or a KKK, what has to say, because it's usually an extreme, like it's usually very against what I think, being a black guy. You know what I'm saying? So for another black dude to be able to sit down with these people and let them spew out their thoughts, and then add in something that can help them get their gears churning to change who they are, it's amazing to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it made me think about myself and how I have to continually practice, because it's something that I do practice, trying to hear people out and trying to be patient and understand what people have to say, and feel people for who they are instead of making my own assumption, because assumption always leads you to something else if you make the wrong one. You know what I'm saying? So I just, that made me really think about patience and allowing people to walk themselves into a wall. And even though if they walk themselves into a wall, they can always turn around and go in the other direction. You don't have to stick to whatever that crap is that you're learning or what you learn. Like, things that are learned can be unlearned. You know what I'm saying? So kind of interesting. What do you guys think about that?
I like that one, because that one's more in line of a lot of the ones we have gave. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a in-depth one, but I like where you took it on that tip of just like unlearning, the ability to unlearn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that we, as people, I feel like maybe sometimes underestimate, but also just in a deeper sense, like, underestimate our power even to, like, I guess, influence other people to unlearn certain shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what that dude was able to do. Like, he was able to present things in certain situations that kind of, like, help the other people. It, like, you know what I mean? It put them in a position where they unlearned the shit that they were learned. Because they were just like, fuck, I learned that I like this person, and that's what I was going to get at. It. A part of it is almost that direct, like, correlation to some shit that doesn't connect in your head no more, where you're like, damn, I like this person, but I swore that I don't like no one like this.
Right, exactly.
And that inside yourself just, like, you know what I mean? Just builds up.
And there was also a guy that he talked to today. He's like a Indian like yogi, so he's like all about self and doing yoga and tapping in with your inner being and all of those things. And he had a part where he was saying, the old sticks and stones break my bones, but words will never hurt me thing. You know what I'm saying? That's the tip he was on. And it's interesting to think that words can carry so much weight to them if you allow them to. But if somebody says something to you in another language, offensive, and you don't understand it, it doesn't mean anything. So it's crazy to think that when somebody says something to you in your native tongue very offensively, it will offend you, or you will have some sort of ill feeling about it. You know what I'm saying? It's so crazy to me. Like, for an instance, the N-word, you know what I'm saying? When it's with an A and my people are using it, it's a vibe. But if I hear from somebody that shouldn't be saying it, or I don't think should be saying it, it can be derogatory and it can be used in the wrong way. But why? You know what I'm saying? It's not something that defines me for who I am or means shit to me, you know what I'm saying, outside of my guy. So, like, when you hear that from somebody, or you hear somebody call you something that you don't like being called, why do those things carry so much weight? You know what I'm saying? Why do they affect you in that way? And I know that's like, so, it's random, but it's just so interesting to me of a concept. Like, why do we allow certain ideas and or sayings carry so much, like, hate to them when we created these words and the ideas of them, and we are the ones who put the meaning into them and take in the feelings of what they are. It's so weird to me.
I agree. I think that's really, I feel like you said that when someone says something hateful in another language that you can't tell, but I don't know. I feel like personally, I feel like I can tell, because I feel like when people say certain things, they say it with tone. I feel like tone carries almost more meaning than the words themselves sometimes.
That's factual.
You know?
So what would you think if somebody said it to you in a different language but with a happy tone? So
I've I've not really gauged, like you said, I've not gauged what they were saying sometimes because I didn't know based on the tone. Like I kind of misinterpreted the tone to just whatever the tone was, but I didn't know the meaning of the words, so I couldn't really gauge nothing but the tone.
Exactly. So in that sense, like I can only go off of that, like the
Right.
So like I like what like that. I mean I have no idea what they're saying. So I mean, like if someone's just saying like speaking like a whole foreign language,
someone
to me,
could say some nice shit in your own tongue, and it really like say it in a nice tone in your own tongue,
Right,
some
yeah.
mean shit, and it real still fuck you up.
But that was my point with it, is like when it comes to like tone, like you can that deliverance of it is, I feel like, what kind of tells, because like even if someone says it like then it comes into like when someone says something mean nicely, that's sarcasm. You know what I mean? Almost in a certain sense, like, and so like that kind of carries its own tone, but like that is better conveyed when you know the actual words. So like, because then you can kind of
True, 'cause you can't read sarcasm in other
Exactly.
for a language you don't know.
Nah, you can't.
exactly. So
They low-key don't be having sarcasm.
yeah. So well, I feel like they have sarcasm in their own language, but like the translation won't go across if you don't understand the words to get it. So I
feel that.
definitely see that like you might not be able to get like the full effect of it, but I feel like tone definitely has like that underlining context to like a lot of like that. And so like I feel like there comes to that sense of, I feel like that's like the hard part, in the sense of when you hear like the negative sense of like, how can I best describe this? With it, because you're saying like, how do we interpret words? Because I feel like that is part of it. Like, how do we interpret words? Like, what any kind of word that we get, like, why do we give it any kind of meaning, whether it be positive or negative? How do we associate that meaning? Because the meaning that we associate with it isn't the same meaning that the person next to us might associate with it, and the person next to us might not associate with it. And so like, what it comes down to is that individual meaning of it, what it means to you. And so like, there's only, like you're saying, like, I feel like what you were kind of getting at with it is you can only control how you react to certain things.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you can't really control what others say, but you can control how you respond to it.
Right.
And I feel like also I wanted to touch on, because I feel like when the guy you were talking about earlier, the guy that goes and like converts the KKK fool, it's like that sounds. I remember seeing that a couple years back, or not years, but maybe like couple months or up to a year back or so, something like that, of like seeing that story, and I was like, that's some crazy shit, man. And it was like, it was wild, because I feel like soon after that I was at the time I was working as a bartender, so I guess this was probably like a couple of years ago, but like at the time I was working as a bartender, and I had this guest come up, and this guest was like as conservative as they come, and like very vocal. He was super drunk and like just talking shit to this other like guest that was there, and it got to the point where, kind of like you were saying, like you kind of just let people like get their shit off, like let them let them talk it off, right? And so like he was saying this shit, and like that person left, and I was like with this guest I had established enough of a rapport, because he was like a regular, that I could like kind of say something to him without me really compromising too much of my job.
Right.
You know
kind of
what I mean?
talk him off the cliff type.
Yeah. But I'll be honest, like that was my approach to it at first, but it escalated.
Right, yeah.
Like, because like I tried, but then in part of that escalation, when I was going back and forth, like I reminisced to that moment of like, sometimes you just kind of have to let them like let it all out.
Right. Yeah.
And so like it was literally like I was like, all right, get your shit off, and like he did, like it was more of like letting them get their point out, get their perspective on it. And so then like with that perspective, kind of reframing it, being like, well, okay, well, if you see it like this, right, this is what your words, what you're saying it is, so let's not just, so this is this, no, this is that, so this, like just following like this like the flow of it, right? And at the end of that conversation, it ended up with him being like, damn, like I was tripping a little bit, like we good now. Right,
yeah. Like sometimes you gotta let them, you gotta let people get their shit off, because if you don't, you'll never know how they feel, and then they'll just end up trickling back on to other people that feel like that, and then they create this group of bullshit, and then that's when it gets bad. You know what I'm saying? That's when it's not good for anybody. Now there's all of these people thinking this bullshit idea, because when there was an opportunity to at least hear this guy out, regardless of how annoying it was missed. And now they're, you know, have conjured up with a bunch of other people and shit, you know what I'm saying? But like, I also got from that, like, everything's not for everybody, you know what I'm saying? Because for me personally, I mean, I'm sure when I'm 50, I could probably sit in a room with these guys and try to have that same discourse and not let it show in my emotions or on my face or that I'm not agreeing with what they're saying and shit. But like, that guy, I'm gonna find his name so I can say it, but that guy is that guy that can do that, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of similar to, like, you don't want to tell people, I don't want to get off into another tangent, but it's just crazy that he is the person that can do that. That's not a job for everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that anybody can just go sit in a room and listen to people openly disrespect them, regardless of what the situation is. You know what I'm saying? This just happens to be two polar opposites in one situation. So like, it's just crazy. Like, every different strokes for different folks. And you just, I don't know, sometimes, like we keep saying, you gotta let these people run into the wall until they bleed a little and have to turn around and get a Band-Aid from somebody that they didn't want it from. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't know. Humans are kind of weird in that sense, but, you know, that's just some random shit. You know what I mean?
Well, damn, man. That was a really great conversation today.
Yeah, dope.
But before we get on out of here, any last words you want to let the folks know back at home?
Shit.
So is that your brand, bro? I didn't get to ask you about that. But
yes, this is. Thank you, bro. This is
shout that out
any
too,
day
you know?
now. Yeah. So once again, I'm Bredman, rapper, singer, producer from Pasadena, California. Co-owner of this clothing brand, Any Day Now. It's also our music company's name, Any Day Now. Shout out my guy Max Rahn. Thank you. Max Rahn, you know what I'm saying? That's my guy, man. That's the co-owner, Any Day Now. He produces hella music for me. He actually produced that singing track, Factual, that we keep referencing. This Friday, I also have Abundance on my side coming out. That's a track that that's where we actually met. He saw me perform that. It'll come out I gotta do it every time I hear it. It comes out 3/18. That's this Friday. Abundance on my side. It's a track that I actually produced. Is one of the first tracks that I'm releasing that I produced in my catalog. So that's super dope. I just dropped a music video for one of my songs off my last project called OTR. So you get a chance, tap in with that. And shit, we just sold out some t-shirts, so shout out to everybody that bought our Love Is Worth a Shot t-shirt from Any Day Now. And yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for having me, man. God bless, you know what I mean?
Thanks for coming.
For real. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Anytime, you dig?
Shit. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Mind Tree Radio.
Yeah, Brad, you don't have to do them like that.
Dear God, this is a message, got a couple questions. Will all this leg work result in me going the distance? Will all this strong that I've been blowing keep my lungs from lifting? And if I'm destined for greatness, well, I know the tide is shifting. Minding my own like I'm diamond sifting. Category 4 hurricanes for these niggas if they don't mind their business. And if I cop another chain and a pistol, will that make the difference? Do I concentrate on right combinations like I'm pocketing, locket picking? They wanna see me inside of a concrete box, but listen, I've gone the distance. And luckily enough, I got to duck missions. So I'm sending prayers up for all my niggas who did it. Put my feet on foreign soil, since then I noticed my mind been shifting. Feel like I'm part of the tectonic business. But the only plate I want got steak and greens with mashed potatoes in it. Yeah. Thanking G.O.D. for a new morning, cause I know these days ain't promised. And it's automated crowd noises for all the comics. Let me put you on to something. Real niggas ain't common, they come one in every dozen. Luckily enough, we got real niggas in abundance on my side. In abundance on my side. Luckily enough, we got real niggas in abundance on my side. In abundance on my side. In abundance on my side. Fact. Yeah, thank you, exactly. And I just want sustainability with credibility. Been feeling like people been sleeping on me, but my creativity always leading me peacefully, decently, creating peace for myself mentally. Praying for my family, hoping they doing the same for me. Doing the same for me. It was all meant to be, so I'ma just let it be. Gotta keep grinding, building bricks below the green like California palm trees. No, this ain't it for me. No, this ain't all for me. We gon' have to see, attach my spirit to these talents and these dreams. Been blessed, plotting, jotting, planning out these schemes. Suck a duck in all the memes. Yeah, suck a duck in all the memes. In abundance on my side. Yeah. In abundance on my side. Hey, hey. Yeah. In abundance on my side. The 80 inside. Hey, hey. Told her about the time machine, now she wanna see the inside. Hey, yeah,
First time meeting him here, really dope food. But crazy thing about his spot, he was the only person that ever fucking becomes like a written, like a memorized freestyle.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like on the TV show shit, like I ain't never seen no shit like that in real life, bro.
You guys are probably asleep when you started freestyling. You low-key caught me off guard.
You know, huh? You're probably like,
you sent me the message of how the layout is.
I'm
And I
dragging
was
the old
like,
ball and chain around.
Okay, freestyle.
Well,
Like,
I'm
I saw that,
sorry.
okay.
I was
But then
getting
when it
ready to
happened,
put my
I
foot
was
in.
like, oh shit.
I know you
like,
I
That's why I
couldn't say
stopped.
oh shit out loud. You feel me? So
I wish I would have seen that shit, bro. Damn. But I like how you came in, like I heard you rapping, and then I was like, I started closing my eyes, and then I started hearing you, and I was like, all right, for sure, he is gonna rap. Like,
I'm for sure hop in. I got you.
that happened though. The last spot I did though too. Like the last one I did, the homie was like, he knew what was going on, but like he was kind of like, he was telling me, he was kind of like, what? Like he was like, can we do that again? Like he wanted to do a run back. Like I was like, okay, I feel you. Like, but I don't know. It was kind of like a long setup. But it was confusing. It's like when it actually happened, it was still like, damn, this is happening right now?
Yeah. That's crazy. I really appreciate y'all. But I'm still holding on. Man, thank you.
You want to sugar more for you on the road, bro? Yeah, bro. That's from me.
I remember watching.
He was there too, yeah.
I don't know if we met.
I think you might have said you did good too, though. You might have said something too.
Just a quick like.
Yeah, because we were saying it was good to a lot of different people. You know? Matter of fact, look, you did hit up Friends.
Oh, the other dude.
Friends, he was, because I'm gonna say, I remember at the end, the homie that performed with Fred, who like does shit for like guitar and shit.
Oh, okay.
He performed too. He did his own shit.
Okay, that's your homie?
Nah, well, friends are homie because Derek, his girlfriend and shit. Like, she actually went to our high school too. Derek went to our high school too, but Derek always lived in Pasadena when he was going out here. He just does some weird shit about it. Like, when we were freestyling, the only chance we got to rap together was at school. Because he was going to the stew already out there.
Right, already getting to that's tight.
And I couldn't go out there and he couldn't come out here. So we would just be at school just getting our bars off.
Right, yeah, like, this is what my house was.
Yeah.
That's hard.
No, I can't stay long. Cause even if I want to drown it.
I live out in San Diego, so like today it was like 45 minutes. But it's usually like it's like a 30-minute drive to here. It's like driving 6 flags. You know what I'm saying?
Little did you know,
Time to pick up, I will pull up.
did you know,
I will pull up.
I'm better on my own, yeah, regardless of my tone, yeah. I just had to let you know, yeah. That's why I put it in a song, yeah. I know that you gon' hear this. And my feelings acting fearless. At this point,
Yes,
you're fearless. I guess that's what the problem is. Still holding on a little bit.
We met almost
Thought that we
same
would
exact way,
make
but like the story.
Because I was saying how like you, like I was going to school and you were going to school and I met you. Because you see, and so you met him when he was doing music back at a local school too.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And he had went somewhere else before that school as well.
Yeah, he was going to San Jose State to be doing some like biology shit.
That was the funny shit is that literally the first thing I said was like, oh yeah, he wasn't on music, he was in science. He was like So was my homie.
That shit is crazy. That's why I can't believe it.
I was like, what the heck? Yeah, like, that's crazy. Like, started out college science. Like, music.
Paths crossing like a motherfucker.
No, I can't stay long. Cause even if I want to try me,
Shit, I gotta figure out whatever we're able to get.
thought that I
Yeah,
moved
let me
on.
know when y'all have a session or anything.
I'm down.
Pull up.
I'm still holding on.
Anytime I have to, like, next week or the week after that.
And hit me. Feel free to hit me. You feel me? Like, I'll be busy, but hit
I'll
me.
hit you fine.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, because I'm trying to get in there with y'all.
That shit, I'm down, bro. I'm in the zone right now making a lot of cool shit, bro.
And I'll be producing too, so you feel me? I got beats. Got all that beats, anything. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be fucking around with the keys at the most from time to time. Like, at the most from time to time, I'll hop on the keys, but I feel like I like to come with cool song ideas and writing songs a lot. Lately, I've been writing, like, cause I've been freestyling a lot, and I'm like, alright, like, concepts. Like, it's just writing some cool shit. If it's a hook, it's fucking 16. And, like, shit, it's like that. Collab with someone else.
Right, yeah, thank you. Let's make it shake. You know what I'm saying?
Vine Tree Radio.